You have 4 old messages.
Oh, hey, good. You're back. I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is we're moving you to day shift. The bad news is that one of the androids, is acting a little different. As the one in the middle, or Malachi as most people call him. He doesn't seem to be affected by the doors. So, if he comes there, you probably just shine your light at him a couple times, just on and off, rinse and repeat. This might work. I know it's not the best solution, but this is all we got. So, I'll see you on the next shift.
We took Grow a Garden's best idea and made it dangerous. You see, we needed cooler ores for our mining game, but we didn't want to add a million boring copy-paste rocks. Then we remembered Grow a Garden. They had a mutation system. But honestly, it felt kinda lame. So we took the idea and made it way more fun. And
What kind of skill?
Why did no one
Hello?
Hey, Charlie. What are you up to?
Hey.
Why has AI taken over the sparkle emoji? And it really is that deep. Don't tell me it's not. In my last video, I talked about how a lot of my paintings
Debunking FNAF myths. My friend.
Why has AI taken over the sparkle emoji? And it really is that deep. Don't tell me it's not. In my last video, I talked about how a lot of my paintings
Debunking FNAF myths.
I know I don't always show it, but winning does excite me. So
we're guaranteed to miss him so long as we always flip twice on every barrage. On the second and third barrage, we just do an extra flip after we send both buses. But here, it's better to do it within the barrage. That way we can get a little extra time played on the song during this barrage. You'll notice as we drop the cameras that we now have to deal with Frogger's Touch Me or Leave Me Alone. In min mode, Frogger will be a bit smaller or larger depending on whether you should touch him or leave him alone to make him a little easier. But it's still important to get used to reacting to the sound cue instead of relying on his visual size.
Touch me. Touch me.
Once you send the first barrage, we turn to the right and close the door on the 7-second interval. This is the first Matt Warkowski spawn, but we don't have to react to him quite yet. We're just setting up him and Aiden Moore to be on the same side of the office for later in the cycle. Now we turn back to the center and to the right again in order to get Toilet. Within the cycle, it's very important to understand exactly where you are in the cycle when you're doing Toilet's paths. By himself, Toilet is easily one of the hardest characters in the game, but you also have to keep track of exactly how much time you spend within the path in order to stall Aiden Moore. Bear with me here, because this is going to get a little complicated, but I promise it'll make sense once we talk about a complete cycle. You see, Aiden Moore is stalled whenever you're looking at his hallway, as we've already discussed, including when he's behind Toilet in that same hallway. So, on any of the paths here highlighted within the cycle, you're going to want to stall for as long as possible when making your way through Toilet's path, so you can have more time with Aiden later. You can use the slap sound that Toilet makes when he approaches as a metric. For these right side paths, you're going to want to do them in 5 slaps in order to stall Aiden. Thankfully, this first path is a freebie, as Aiden is currently on the other side of the office, so we can do this in any amount. Now we're going to have to send the second barrage, 1.3 to 1.5 for bus 5, and 2.3 to 2.5 for bus 4. For me, this is the easiest barrage, as the timings for the buses are exactly 1 second apart, making it pretty easy to time out. Once you send the bus 4 in the second barrage, you're going to have to rush a bit. Matt will be waiting at the left door to lunge at you, and if you're not fast enough with Code and Frogger, he'll get you in the office before you even have a chance to turn to his side. So we have to process and take out Code as fast as possible. In mid mode, you can just look for the frog that has 20 HP and explode Code with it, as the highest damage frog will always be equal to Code's HP. Then, without any hesitation, flick to the left to turn, then slam your cursor on the door button for Matt. In mid mode, Matt gives you 0.1 seconds of wait time, then begins lunging at you. His lunge animation lasts 9 frames, giving you a total of 0.25 seconds to close the door on him once you've turned to his side. Immediately after closing the door on Matt, you're going to have to keep rushing. Turn back and forth so you can trigger toilet, then do the left path as fast as you can, ideally around 3 to 4 slaps. Now, prepare to send the final barrage of buses for Yeeboy. Bus 4 on 9.5 to 9.8, and Bus 3 on 9.9 to 0.1. In my opinion, this is the hardest barrage to hit timing-wise, as the intervals aren't spaced out evenly. You just kinda have to get used to the click pattern and ingrain it in your muscle memory. Once you finish this barrage, Aiden will be waiting at your left door. To conserve power, you can try and wait until you think his timer is just about to run out, then turn to the left side and shut the door on him. Personally, I don't find power to be too much of an issue, so I usually play it pretty safe with Aiden. When the door is closed, you'll hear a bonk indicating that he's left. Now, turn to the other side of the room and get toilet's next path. At this point, Aiden will be on the right side of the office, so you're going to have to stall out this path for as long as you possibly can, preferably in 5 slaps. As you return to the center, flip twice in order to offset maximum, then wait until the next 1.5 or 6.5 second mark on your timer and prepare to flick for Matt. Once you turn back to get toilet again, you'll be ready to send the next 2 and 3 barrage to start the next cycle. In my opinion, this 2 and 3 barrage is the hardest part of the cycle. You have to time this super tight bus 2, then between sending bus 2 and 3, you have to recognize what Code's value is and whether or not you should touch Frogger before pulling the cameras back up to send bus 3. Once you send bus 3, you have to explode Code as fast as possible, otherwise Aiden will get you from the right. This is why we had to stall out those toilet paths for as long as possible, as Aiden will be crawling into the office at this point from the right side. Most times I was barely catching him. From here, we just repeat that same 35-second loop for the entire night. So yeah, all of that talking was just for one singular 35-second cycle. Thankfully, there isn't any variation between cycles aside from the paths that toilet is on, and even those loop back around eventually. When I actually began attempting min mode, it was a bit of a shock, honestly. You see, min mode by itself is still very difficult. In my opinion, it's a bit harder than 5020 NDC from UCN Deluxe. For me, the hardest part of min mode was just learning the cycle, then staying consistent throughout the entire night. In the Hopeless Pursuit video, I spent a lot of time ranking characters based on difficulty within the max modes building up to Hopeless Pursuit and Hopeless Greed. And I think it was super interesting seeing how the rankings change as the modes get harder. With only 7 characters here, I can spend a lot more time going into the intricacies of what makes certain characters difficult. So let's talk about who's the easiest and hardest in min mode. Personally, I found Maximum, Code, and Matt to be interchangeable as the easiest characters within the night. Code's mechanic could be difficult if the values of the frogs were randomized, more on that one later too. But because min mode always has the exact same value for the highest damaging frog, you just need to see which frog equals 20 and hit him with that. Matt I thought would be somewhat challenging, but turned out to be extremely easy. Even though you only have 0.25 seconds to close the door on him, the hitboxes in mid mode are very forgiving. You can visually not even be close to the door button, but still be within the hitbox to close it. Maximum functionally doesn't even exist as long as you follow the cycle, but I guess you could say he makes Frogger and Yeeboy a bit harder since you have to flip an additional time after every barrage. With these 3 at the bottom, I'd say the next hardest character would be Aiden. He's not an issue because he consumes power, or even waiting on him to leave since he makes a very noticeable sound cue when he does. It's more so just him forcing you to stall on the toilet paths, and being right at your door when you're doing the 2-3 barrage. After Aiden, I'd say Frogger would be next. Even though he's made visually smaller and harder to hit when you're not supposed to hit him, this character perfectly capitalizes on your brain fart moments, and oftentimes I just found myself touching him out of instinct for literally no reason. What the f is wrong? Why? Why'd you do it? Why did you do it? I don't even... Oh, what, bro? Next up is Toilet Frog. I think no matter who you ask, this is the most agreed upon character to be in at least the top 3. You spend more time on this character than anyone else by a long shot. and having to master all of Toilet's paths on both the right and left side requires a good bit of consistency and aim. I'm going to take a bit of time here to admire the design of min mode and max mode here, because I think Toilet Frog mechanically is one of the most genius characters I've ever seen implemented in a max mode. You see, with mouse movements in any kind of game, there are generally two kinds of movements: flicking and tracking. Oftentimes in games like Counter-Strike or Valorant, movements are more focused on flicks and corrections, with short interactions where a victor is determined by who has the more insane reaction time and precision. Whereas games like Fortnite or modern Call of Duty games favor a more tracking movement, where you're slowly moving your mouse on a target and tracking them as they try to avoid your line of fire. Every character in One Night at Frogger's is flick-based. You have to flick the door buttons for Matt and Aiden, the camera buttons for Yeeboy, and the HP frogs for Code. But Toilet forces you to slow down and also perfect that control aspect of mouse precision. And it can be a real shock when you have to go from flick to control on such short notice, especially with how much stricter the paths get in max mode. I know I'm like nerding out here about mouse precision in a FNAF game, but this is like the coolest thing ever to me, so please let me have this one. Whether it was an intentional design choice or not, I think it turned out great. So we have our list, aside from one very special character. In all the time that I've been playing these stupid FNAF challenges, I have never seen a character carry the difficulty of a game as much as Yeeboy. Yeeboy is outrageous in this game. I know I've touched on before how he works, but I don't think I've really stressed enough how difficult this character really is. Yeeboy is miles ahead of everyone in difficulty, and trust me, it only gets so much worse. Let's talk about this for a second. So we have 3 barrages of buses per cycle, which comes out to 6 buses that we have to send. So that's 6 buses per cycle. Now, the night and min mode lasts approximately 9.7 cycles, so let's just call it 10. That is 60 times that you have to not only hit a timing less than half a second, but also be able to aim and click twice to not only select the bus, but also confirm to send it. And make sure that the click where you send it is within the window. If you are even the smallest fraction of a second off, he's checking you for it. And I do literally mean the smallest fraction of time displayed by the timer. I am literally 1/1000th of a second off of this interval, and guess what he's doing?
I like predictable openings. Victor doesn't. Pawn to e4.
Knight to f6. I see you know the basics, but your choice gives me an idea. You like structure, predictable beginnings. Let's see what deviations I can coax out of you.
This is character AI, and it's amazing. I've been bantering with Victor all.
Why do you suppose I just hurled a chair at your head, Neiman?
I don't know.
Sure you do.
The tempo?
Were you rushing or were you dragging?
I don't know.
Start counting.
5, 6, 7.
In 4, damn it! Look at me!
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Now, was I wrong or was I
I don't know.
Count again.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Or so you do know the difference. If you deliberately sabotage my band, I will you like a. Now, are you a or are you a
second of grace for the intervals? But man, when I was first starting, it felt like I was literally only dying to this character and this character alone. The problem with Yeeboy is that he really takes advantage of incorrect muscle memory. Remember, min mode and max mode are completely scripted, down to like every last detail. So if you ingrain a certain click pattern for a barrage in your mind, it is super hard to correct that pattern later. And I seem to be having that problem a lot. Eventually though, I was making some progress in min mode, and it became more and more rapid once I managed to escape the first cycle. Since the cycles are just 35-second loops, I found myself jumping minutes at a time on personal bests. If there's one thing that I was good at with min mode, it was consistency. Having very minimal RNG and being significantly easier on my body to play compared to something like Hopeless Pursuit, I was actually able to start getting some pretty decent runs into min mode. The only super annoying parts about min mode were some of the changes as the night goes on, particularly the phone calls, as it made Frogger's sound cue a lot harder to hear.
I couldn't f***ing hear him, bro.
I had about 5 hours of playtime in mid mode when I was looking to beat it, so I just had to lock in and make one last push to finish the mode. And with that, our training is officially concluded. Mid-mode with this strategy is already considered to be extremely difficult, but I was nowhere near ready for how significant the gap is between mid-mode and max mode. If I had to roughly scale mid-mode to something that I have done before, I think 5020 No Death Coin on UCN Deluxe would be a good comparison. And jumping to max mode felt just as crazy as going from No Death Coin to Hopeless Pursuit, arguably even more of a gap. So what makes max mode so much harder than min mode? The best way that I can describe the immediate change between min mode and max mode is constrictive. Even without any characters activated, your movement will feel much more awkward and claustrophobic. We'll get more specifically into character changes later, but just on The Office alone, all of the hitboxes for pretty much everything have been significantly decreased. In min mode, every hitbox, especially the door button hitboxes, had a lot of overhang between where the object visually ended and where the actual hitbox for it ended. But in max mode, everything is pretty visually accurate, and you don't really realize until you make the switch how much min mode was holding your hand with these hitboxes. Again, I can't stress enough how max mode looks really easy as you're watching it, but when you actually play it, it is so much harder. And I think how small everyone's hitboxes are one of the primary reasons for this. As far as other universal changes go, the night has been extended by around a third more. The song in min mode lasted for 4 minutes and 29 seconds, whereas the max mode one lasts for 6 minutes and 9 seconds. The song in max mode is sectioned into 4 parts. The intro, Flight of the Bumblebee, Moonlight Sonata, and Mountain King. There's no differences in gameplay between any of these, but for the sake of keeping track of personal bests, I'll be using these as well as normal night times. With a 6 minute and 9 second song, the night is estimated to last around 7 minutes and 59 second song. The night is estimated to last.
Keisha Barham get timeout again and Ryan stream. Yeah, Ryan and the Steam. He.
I will time out you and the
Hey, I'm Ramona Flowers. They said I should come.
Showdown is the old.
Are accurate hitboxes possible with accurate hitboxes? This is a spike hitbox. If we fix this hitbox, it gets 1 pixel larger accurate hitbox. If we keep doing this over and over again, whoa, look at this. What? The hitboxes cover the entire screen. That's awesome. But is it possible? Yeah. Are accurate hitboxes possible with accurate hitboxes? This is a spike hitbox. If we fix this hitbox, it gets 1 pixel larger accurate hitbox. If we keep
guys have lost control.
I can't leave. We're staying here?
Slice so good, hit like...
seconds. The song in max mode is sectioned into 4 parts. The intro, Flight of the Bumblebee, Moonlight Sonata, and Mountain King. There's no differences in gameplay between any of these, but for the sake of keeping track of personal bests, I'll be using these as well as normal night times. With a 6 minute and 9 second song, the night is estimated to last around 7 minutes and 50 seconds, so nearly 8 straight minutes of this game. Throughout my time on this channel, I have been pushing myself further and further on an eternal parts. The intro, Flight of the Bumblebee, Moonlight Sonata, and Mountain King. There's no differences in gameplay between any of these, but for the sake of keeping track of personal bests, I'll be using these as well as normal night times. With a 6 minute and 9 second song, the night is estimated to last around 7 minutes and 50 seconds, so nearly 8 straight minutes of this gameplay. Even though the night length has been increased from min mode, we still have the same amount of starting power at 1000%, so we're going to have to green run a bit more in max mode than we did in min mode. Even with the extended night length, I still didn't find power to be too much of an issue, but it was always good to save whenever I could. That pretty much covers the universal changes. Now let's get into the much more exciting character changes. And oh man, some of these guys have really been cranked up. I'll go over how everyone has been buffed first, then we can re-rank everyone based on that. Maximum 56 hasn't been changed at all, but aside from him, the other least changed character is Frogger 25. He'll now no longer shrink or grow depending on whether you should touch him or leave him alone. So you're forced to listen to his sound cue, and knowing how certain parts of the song are,
Leave me alone.
locking in on his sound cue might end up being a bit tricky. Code Hacker has been changed so that you now have to pay a lot more attention to him and process far more in order to determine which frog to use. Cheesing Code by looking for the 20 HP frog now no longer works, as Code is much more random. Instead of always having the same HP values for every time that he appears, Code will always generate a random number from 0 to 80, then add that value onto the randomly sorted frogs that have the values of 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20 HP. You can choose to deal with this new randomization in one of two ways. You can either look at each of the 5 frogs and see which one has the greatest HP value, or look at Code himself and find which frog is equal to his HP value. I personally choose to do it the second way, by actually looking at Code. And we'll talk more about why when we see how all of the characters interact together in max mode. Aiden Moore has only received one change. The sound cue that he normally makes upon leaving the hallway has been removed. So now you have to guess when he's gone.
Leave me alone. Touch me.
This doesn't seem like much of an issue at first, but not having this sound cue forces you to think about how much you've stalled him throughout the cycle, and how long you should wait before turning or close the door in response. Matt Warkowski has been changed so that he no longer waits 0.1 seconds before lunging at the player. Instead, the moment you turn to the hallway, he's already initiated his jump scare animation, and you only have 9 frames to hit the door button to stop him. This change on its own isn't really that bad. I'm willing to bet that during min mode, you probably closed Matt off within the first 9 frames most of the time anyway. What Matt benefits a lot more from are the universal changes to the hitboxes for the door buttons. In min mode, the door hitboxes are extended horizontally much more than vertically, specifically for Matt. And while there's still a tiny bit of grace in max mode, you have to be much more precise with your flicks. While the guys that we've gone over are definitely hard, these last 2 characters, oh man. Let's start with Toilet Frog. We all know this guy, the path guy. Dude, look at this! Every single one of Toilet's paths has been reduced in size, and the geometry dash icon on path 4 has been increased in size and speed as well. Some of these paths are so small that they're literally the size of your mouse in width. For Toilet in max mode, you need to have some of the craziest mouse and nerve control the world has ever seen. Shake or stutter even in the slightest bit and you'll end up dead. But even Toilet is a literal speck compared to the hardest character in max mode, and I'd even argue the hardest character that we have ever seen on this channel.
We can't hire you right now, but we'll keep you in mind.
You'll keep me in mind.
It's a good day for a good deal at Outback. Get down under favourites like the Aussie 3-course starting at $14.99. Any reason is a...
You know him, the Yee-Boy. Remember before how I said they were so gracious to give us an indication in min mode on when we should send the buses for Yee-Boy? Well, no more green lights for you, buddy. You gotta use the timer. Not only do you have to use the timer, the hitboxes for Yee-Boy are insanely small, both to select the bus and to actually send it with the check mark. I can't tell you how many times I've selected the bus but didn't move my mouse far enough to click the check mark and the bus didn't send and I missed the interval. So not only does Yee-Boy require you to hit timings that are within 0.2 second windows damn near blind every time, but you also have to accurately flick between the camera button, the button to select the bus, and the button to actually send the bus, all while your eyes are looking at the timer, code, and your mouse. Yee-Boy requires your eyes to be in a million different places at once, and always have an internal clock within your muscles telling you exactly when you have to send each bus. Out of all 7 characters, I'd say that Yee-Boy made up 80% of the deaths in serious runs. This character is absolutely insane, and yeah, he can also cheat. We'll get more into that later. So let's see how the ranking of characters differs from min mode. We already know that Maximum 56 is at the bottom, but above him, I honestly don't know. Code, Aiden, and Frogger all kind of work together to make each other difficult, since if you don't do Code fast enough, you'll die to Aiden or Matt from the hallway. But if I had to rank them, I'd probably put Frogger, then Aiden, then Code. Code I've found to be really finicky with some Frogger spawns. Like when Frogger spawns on top of this blue frog here and you have to slowly move around him in order to reach Code, or this green frog on the very right that I sometimes completely miss. And having to process both Code's HP value and all of the frogs, I think he's harder than both Frogger and Aiden. Next up is Matt. Some people seem to think that Matt is the hardest character in the game, and I could not disagree more. Compared to other characters, you spend way less time in the night dealing with him, and as long as you have somewhat decent aim, he shouldn't be that bad. Honestly, the 9-frame timing was never much of an issue for me. If I died to him, it was because I missed the door button. And after enough practice, that also kind of just stopped happening altogether. Personally, I can never understand the argument that Matt is the hardest character, because Yee-Boy literally has timings that are similarly tight, way more frequent, and have way smaller hitboxes. It all comes down to Yee-Boy and Toilet now. And even though you spend more time dealing with Toilet than Yee-Boy, I think Yee-Boy is a harder character. And even though I eventually got really consistent with Toilet, Yee-Boy was always a weak spot for me throughout my entire max mode journey. With all of these changes, I can say that max mode is probably harder than Hopeless Pursuit. But is it harder than Hopeless Greed? I'd need to beat it first to truly judge that. Now knowing how hard max mode really is, a lot of you are probably wondering, why on earth would you put yourself through this again? Hopeless Pursuit was already a mind and body destroying challenge that was pretty much just straight suffering the whole way through. Would it really be worth it to put myself through that kind of mental torture again? Well, to understand why I had to do this, we have to go back to the Hopeless Pursuit video. If you haven't watched that video already, I highly suggest you do so after finishing this one. If the HP video were to have a sequel of sorts, this video would definitely be it. But it's been a while, so I'll give a brief summary of that video here. Hopeless Pursuit was far and away the hardest challenge that I had ever attempted, both mentally and physically. It's essentially a mod of Ultimate Custom Night that removes all kinds of stalling and exploits and kicks every character up to the absolute extreme, resulting in nothing short of complete chaos. But what made the Hopeless Pursuit video special wasn't the game itself, it was the story behind it. You see, the name of my channel, The Bones 5, originated from my pet dog and forever best friend, Bones, and during the process of trying to beat Hopeless Pursuit, Bones unfortunately passed away. With how significant Bones was in my life and to the creation of the channel, I chose to dedicate the Hopeless Pursuit video to his memory, and then went on to verify an even harder version of Hopeless Pursuit, Hopeless Greed, which at the time was the hardest FNAF challenge ever completed. When I released that video, I didn't really know what to expect, but the reception was better than I could have ever imagined. At the absolute lowest point in my life, you guys, my viewers, showed out harder than I could have ever predicted. The day the video released, I saw so many stories about people with similar experiences to my own, and how emotionally touched they were by my video. And I won't lie to you guys, the first day that video dropped, I broke down crying at how much support it had received. And to all my friends in Discord that showed their support through one of my hardest times ever, I really can't thank you enough. I was honored to have turned this horrible experience in my life into a positive one for so many others. But why am I telling you this now? Well, here on YouTube, the reception of the Hopeless Pursuit video was great. You guys are truly wonderful and I can't thank you enough. But certain members of the Max Mode community reacted a bit differently. In the Hopeless Pursuit video, I never claimed to be the best player. I claimed to beat the hardest challenge, which at the time was true, but I still acknowledge that there were people better than me at FNAF as a whole. In fact, I do it in that video. And the majority of people understood this, and were very supportive of my achievement, and to those people, again, I can't thank you enough. However, there were some things that people said that definitely rubbed me the wrong way. For all of these messages, I'm gonna censor people's names, since I don't want you guys going out and harassing people, and honestly, I don't want to give these people any kind of attention anyway, good or bad. I'm only doing this because I like to show the deeper reasons why I do the things that I do in these videos. Essentially, this guy was just really angry that people were calling me a good player after beating Hopeless Greed. And normally, I wouldn't pay any mind to this. This guy's hardest is Silent Suicide Mouse, and I'll just let the numbers do the talking on that one. Everyone else on the server was congratulatory over my achievement, and the reception was still positive. But there was just one message that sent me off the deep end. Look, if you want to talk for 2 hours on end about how I'm not good at video games, sure, go ahead. I promise no one believes you. But to get so angry over my achievement that you have to insult the memory of my dog and call the video and challenge that I made in tribute to him nothing more than sympathy bait, I'm not letting that shit slide. Some people seem to think that I was a UCN one trick, and that if I played something actually hard, like Max Mode, that I would get obliterated. After all, on Frogger's 356 PB, the top comment is Bones could never. So, force Bones to play Max Mode, Bones could never. You know what, let's see about that. If you want to insult my dog's memory just because you think you're a better player than me, I'm gonna prove that we're not even close. On the list of players that were supposedly better than me, I saw Frogger25. His hardest achievement is his Max Mode PB of 4 minutes and 23 seconds, achieved over the course of 281 hours of playtime. So, if I could match that kind of pace with hours, then will I still not be a good player? Honestly, I don't know. I guess we'll see. During the Hopeless Pursuit video, I kept track of my progress through the days, but I was going to take a different and more efficient approach here. When I was playing Hopeless Pursuit, I would just get on every day and play non-stop, from the moment that I woke up to when I went to sleep. But I wouldn't really keep track of my hours. I figured that if I was just constantly playing all day, I could use dates as a measurement. But for Max Mode, I was going to be a bit more meticulous about how I tracked my playtime. For Max Mode, I was instead going to play in exact 1 hour increments to avoid destroying my hands like last time, and hopefully this would be a bit more efficient. So for this video, I'll structure it similar to how I did with HP, going through hour by hour.
Go green by getting clean car happy at Tidal Wave Auto Spa. Washing your car at home uses more water and sends dirty, untreated water into your storm drain and local creek.
For the first 10 hours or so of gameplay, I didn't really track much because I wasn't full-on playing Max Mode as much as I was trying to practice specific aspects of the night. I said before how I was trying to be as efficient as possible in grinding Max Mode, unlike how I was when playing Hopeless Pursuit. So the first thing that I did was look for variation between different parts of the night. I mentioned in the Hopeless Pursuit video how one of the things that would often get me is an unlucky bonnet spawn during a chaotic office cycle, and the only way that I could really practice that was getting to that point in the actual night. But in Max Mode, cycles were a lot more consistent. If we look at a diagram of the 35-second Max Mode cycle, there are really only a few things that can change from cycle to cycle. Before, I mentioned how Toilet has 5 paths. Path 1 is a zigzag, Path 2 is the upside down U, Path 3 is the Vinny path, 4 is the GD normal path, and 5 is the heart path. Now, when looking at this cycle diagram, there are 4 toilet paths per cycle total. Because this doesn't evenly match up with the number of paths being 5, the paths will begin to change on future cycles. Specifically, when you progress through a 35-second cycle onto the next one, each path will now be the path before it in the order. I know that sounds complicated, but basically, the biggest change from cycle to cycle that isn't just flat out RNG is Toilet. So I chose to grind the hell out of aim training with just him. The thought process was that if I could get good at one 35-second cycle, then master the only part of the night that changes on a cycle-to-cycle basis, then surely I should be okay. Maybe. Within a few hours, I was able to complete a night with just toilet on, spamming paths over and over again on both sides. But the moment that I went into an actual night and began attempts, it felt like all of my practice had gone to waste. And this was most obvious at what I would consider the first major wall, the left heart. See, what's nice about max mode being completely scripted is that progression walls are a lot easier to identify and pin down exactly what is causing it. Because the only thing that changes between cycles are the toilet paths, and even those eventually loop back around, we can extend this cycle diagram to last the entire night, which almost makes this night feel more like a Geometry Dash or platformer level rather than a max mode, as you're literally doing the same thing every single time. And for me, the first left heart around 130 seemed to be a pretty clear roadblock. I've mentioned before how you're supposed to wait on right paths to stall Aiden and to rush left paths in order to keep him from camping the door. But really, Yeeboy is far more of a threat than Aiden when dealing with the left toilet path. You see, the moment you finish the second barrage, which is right here in the cycle, you're going to be rushing pretty much everything in order to make it to where you need to be for the third barrage with Yeeboy. So you want to try and explode code and flick to Matt as fast as possible. Then, once you get to the left side toilet, try to do it in 4 or less slaps to prepare for the third barrage. For 3 of the 5 paths, and we'll get to this one later, I didn't really have an issue with this. However, for the last path, the heart, I found it extremely difficult to rush this path. The back half of the path was just so insanely small that I was forced to slow my mouse to a crawl and waste a ton of time trying to control my mouse and get through the path. Most of the time, I would just end up dying because I hit the boundary of the path. But even if I did make it through, I was so disoriented from locking in so hard on the back half of the path that I would just blindly send buses 4 and 3 and not even look at the timer, just hoping that they hit. So even if the heart path didn't kill me, Yeeboy ultimately would at around 1 minute and 50 seconds. It seemed like no matter how hard I practiced toilet by himself, the left heart path in the actual game was still going to be a struggle. So I had to figure out why I was so consistent in practice runs compared to the actual game. And after a while, I began to realize what was happening. Because max mode is completely scripted, more than any other FNAF game, you're able to pay a lot more attention to your muscles, body, and movements compared to something like Hopeless Pursuit. You have to do the exact same thing at the exact same time every time. And when I was practicing toilet by himself, I noticed that I was always able to readjust my mouse, get into a comfortable position, then do the path. Whereas in the real game, I had to rush the code and map before I even did the left path, which usually left my arm and mouse in an uncomfortable position, leading to worse mouse control and typically a death in the heart path. Once I realized this issue, I began to use the time where I was turning between getting Matt and turning left again for toilet to pick up my mouse and readjust. That way I could aim better throughout the path. This did result in some marginal improvement. However, the left heart was still proving pretty difficult, but I was beginning to notice a slight pattern. On the runs that ended up dying to hitting the boundary of the path, it was always the upper boundary. So I began to zoom in closer to all of my deaths, and that's when I realized the toilet paths don't actually account for your entire cursor, just the topmost pixel where the tip of your mouse is. Meaning that pretty much all of your cursor could be out of bounds so long as the very tip of your mouse was still within the path. Combining this knowledge with only using my wrist rather than wrist and arm when I reached the thin section of the path, I was able to actually start getting past the heart path in real runs. And it was only a matter of time until I was able to hit the third barrage right after the path. After 13.5 hours of playtime, I have managed to get 3 runs to 151 and 1 run to 153. If I wanted to break past the first real minute barrier at 2 minutes, I was going to need to not only get past the left heart, but also hit the Yeeboy afterwards, as he would kill at 153 otherwise. But with enough playtime and consistency, it was bound to happen soon.
Las mejores invitaciones se sienten personales y anticipan tus necesidades. El mismo sentimiento que cada Lexus está diseñado para provocar. Obtén ofertas por tiempo limitado en modelos selectos en el Invitation to Lexus Sales Event.
The first minute barrier had been killed with a 2:15, and honestly, I was feeling pretty good. Compared to HP, this had taken me significantly less time to start making some decent progress, and even though the night was longer, I was hoping that the scripted nature of max mode would mean more consistency throughout. As I inched closer and closer to Bones Could Never, all I could do was keep at it. All things considered, it didn't take me that long to get from 1 minute to 2 minutes. But man, once I crossed that 2-minute barrier, the frequency of personal bests seemed to slow down pretty significantly. I know the last section was primarily focused on the left heart path, but that doesn't mean everything else still wasn't a problem. The chance of my runs even getting to the heart path were next to none because I would almost always miss a bus for Yeeboy somewhere in the first minute. I know I've been stressing how hard this character is to time, but that isn't the only thing that makes him difficult. Yeeboy's hitboxes are insanely small, and I've found that just aiming in an attempt to send the buses results in it as well. If you want proof of how hard this character can be to aim at sometimes, look no with other characters. We have to send bus 2 and bus 2, but we send them between buses. Rarely deal with multiple, but here you have to. You have to. Now, cameras are. You have to play this some extra and look at code what his HP value is. You get a glimpse at code before you're forced to pull up the cameras again, and I've found that I'm not fully able to focus my eyes back onto the left screen in time. And I have to use my peripheral vision to flick my mouse over to bus 3, then send it at the correct time. Then you have to drop the cams, remember which number code was, find that frog and explode code with it, then turn to the right to barely catch Aiden at the door. Because code appears later and has random HP values in max mode compared to min mode, you have to constantly focus your eyes on different parts of the screen all within split seconds. And a lot of the time, this would lead to me just barely missing the button to select the bus or the button to actually send it. I had spent around 4 hours still stuck at a PB of 2:15. And honestly, it didn't seem like there was going to be any breakthroughs anytime soon, and I was starting to get a little bit worried. For big videos like this where I do a really hard challenge, I always try to time them such that when I attempt them, it's always over some form of break from when I'm at college. And I had initially planned to start max mode when the summer started, but now, due to focusing on other videos first, I was halfway through the summer, and based on my current progress from 1 minute to 2 minutes, getting the whole way through to an 8-minute night before summer ended wasn't really looking that realistic. I wanted so desperately to get past that 356, that Bones Could Never mark, and I was slowly fighting for every second. It seemed like there wasn't going to be any flukes. I just had to hunker down and attempt over and over again. And then I began to inch forward, similarly to how I had to break my 303 wall in HP. While my personal best wasn't increasing, my consistency was. At 18 hours, I had a 2:15, a 2-minute flat, and 3 153s. Then 2 hours later, at 20 hours total, I had a 2:16, a 2:15, and a 2 flat times 3. And you know that when you build consistency, a new PB is on the horizon. And then, a little further, 226 at 22.5 hours. A little longer and I would have made it to Moonlight Sonata, the next section of the song, but the rest of the journey to 3 minutes wasn't going to be easy. I mentioned before how the left heart path was the first big wall in the night, around 1 minute and 30 seconds. But there was an even bigger one that I was about to reach. At 23.5 hours, I managed to finally clutch out the last part of Flight of the Bumblebee and head into Moonlight Sonata. But what awaited was what I was estimating would be the last major wall in the night. You see, the issue with the left heart path was that I wasn't able to get through it fast enough to catch the third barrage with Yeeboy on time, but at least that path was whole the whole way through. What if we had to rush a path that by nature forces you to slow down? And that is what the left Vinny path is. At 2:35, we're forced to go through this path within 4 slaps. The problem is, if you aren't able to get through the first squiggly section here in time to catch Vinny or the pineapple and ride them to the other side, you're forced to wait here and waste precious time, which means you won't be able to catch Yeeboy on time. In my opinion, this wall is worse than the left heart one, and this is for a few reasons. For one, as I had spent more and more time playing max mode, I started to realize the pattern of the paths decrementing by 1 every cycle within the game. But why does this matter? Well, this means that every 5 cycles, Toilet's paths will return back to exactly how they were in the first cycle. So, cycle 1 and cycle 6 will always be the exact same. 2 and 7, 3 and 8, and so on. So, I'm gonna split every 5 cycles into one giant loop, meaning that within every loop, the only thing that changes, Toilet's paths, will loop back and start over. This means that, in theory, once you've completed one full loop, you have done literally everything that max mode can throw at you, and the rest of the night should be easier to complete. The left Vinny path is the last left path before the start of the second loop at 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So internally, I was kinda treating this path like the final boss of this first loop. If I could start getting consistently past this path and nail the Yeeboy barrage that followed, there really wouldn't be much that could stop me. I was sure that once I reached the second loop, I could destroy the 6th cycle, since again, it's just an exact copy of the first one. Which means if I could get past this path, I could be seeing a new PB in the 310s, 320s, or maybe even the 330s. But man, I struggled and struggled against this path. At 27.5 hours, I managed to get a run that made it through the path and even on the smaller platform, but died to a stupid mistake afterwards, not leaving the door closed long enough to get rid of Aiden. It seemed that any time I made it past the Vinny path, I'd either be so nervous from anticipation of getting to the second big loop, or I would miss the barrage right after the path and end up dying from Yeeboy later, just before 3 minutes. This wall was relentless. 31 hours, 33 hours, 35 hours. I had built as much consistency as realistically possible, and I was able to start getting through the first section of the Vinny path early enough to catch Vinny's head, making it a lot easier to set up the third barrage for Yeeboy. I think it was finally time to move on to the second loop.
We can keep our enamel for a lifetime if a patient takes the proper preventive measures. I choose new clinical enamel strength because there's clinical evidence to support that it does strengthen the enamel. Pronamel clinical enamel strength does a really good job of adding that extra protection to the enamel.
So with all these Hilton Honors points, I could stay for free.
Finally, at around 36 hours, we were in Loop 2. That was the longest wall that I had faced thus far. Not only did I make it to Loop 2, I died to a stupid mistake because of nerves, just barely missing the door button for Matt. But my Yeeboy was still completely okay. I hadn't missed any buses. This run gave me what I needed most at this time: confidence. I knew that the majority of my far deaths at this point were due to nerves, and though this was a small PB, I felt like a big one was coming soon. But if I wanted that final push, I needed to really figure out one character. Even though I was progressing, Yeeboy was still causing a load of deaths that I thought were just preventable mistimings. So I started to look a bit deeper into exactly why I was dying to this character. I was already on the second loop, so I've proved that I can handle anything max mode throws at me. Once I get completely consistent with Yeeboy, there really shouldn't be much left aside from nerve control. Up to this point, I was just following the spreadsheet for Yeeboy's intervals, and if I ever ended up dying to him, I just thought, oh, I must have missed one and moved on. But I never really spent any time trying to figure out what I missed or why I missed it. So I spent some time researching in min mode, where you can actually see Yi-Boy in the camera system. Also, just as a quick side note, I found it super funny how when I was trying to hit Yi-Boy without being in the cycle, I was actually missing his timings. It reminds me of how like pro Geometry Dash players die on like Rob top levels because they're just programmed to only play extremes.
Yeah, that coin's kind of impossible timing, what the f.
Anyway, I was trying to figure out what these intervals actually meant and where Yi-Boy was in the building. And I was able to find this. The most common points of failure for Yi-Boy are when he enters the vent when he's not supposed to, indicated by this sound, and then he reaches your office, or when you miss the bus that hits him in the vent right before he reaches you. If we look at the 6 buses that you send per cycle, we can actually chart these out to diagnose any Yi-Boy death and see which bus caused it. Bear with me here because this might get a little complicated. Let's surround the bus 2 from the first barrage and the bus 4 from the second barrage with square brackets, and the bus 5 from the second barrage and the bus 3 from the third barrage with curly braces. The buses surrounded with the same type of brackets will work together to hit Yi-Boy at certain points in the cycle, whereas the first bus 3 and the last bus 4 work to keep him back in between these buses. Because each bus hits a certain amount of time after it's sent, we know that if Yi-Boy enters the vent when he's not supposed to, or jump scares us at these times, those were the buses that we messed up. And since cycles in max mode are completely scripted, we can just tell based on where we are in the cycle what buses we messed up. The square bracket buses are meant to hit at the exact same time, which happens while you're doing the only left toilet path in the cycle. So if you hear a bang in the vent right after the left toilet path, you missed a bus in the square brackets.
That was in. Bullshit. That was in, bro. Oh my god, bro.
The curly brace buses work together to hit Yi-Boy before he gets to you in the vent. So if you get jump scared by him after doing the one of those buses. These single buses, you hear Yi-Boy in the vent while you're doing the Frogger at the second barrage, bus 3. You hear in the vent while you're turning down to do right path 2, you messed up bus 4. This was an absolute game changer for me, as now I could spot exactly where I was messing up and how I should fix it next time. I also started to look a lot deeper into why I was mistiming Yi-Boy, and I finally started to realize what I was doing wrong with his character and why he was so hard for me. You see, in all my experience using timers in FNAF games, it's always been do this thing on this interval, never within this interval. And even though you're supposed to hit Yi-Boy within his intervals, my brain was still in that mode of hitting him on every interval. So whenever I'd be ready to send a bus, I would be trying to predict when the first 1/10 of a second of Yi-Boy's interval would pass, then I would send the bus. I probably should have realized this earlier, as literally all of my Yi-Boy deaths were from sending the buses early and not late, and that probably could have saved me a good few hours. Recognizing the problem was the first step, but trying to fix it was a whole nother issue. I've said before how max mode thrives on your muscle memory, and I had already put in 35 hours at this point, so trying to tell my body to wait for just a 1/10 of a second longer on a timing that I had already spent 35 hours slamming into my brain wasn't really an easy task. So I instead tried to rework how I did Yi-Boy from the ground up, with a simple phrase: react, don't predict. Before, I was trying to predict when the interval would show up, then click. But now I would force myself to physically react to the decimal on the timer changing, then click, ensuring that I was within the interval. I had tried to do this when I was first learning max mode, and I couldn't really see the 10th place on the timer, it just seemed to go way too fast. But I was having a similar experience to HP here, where after enough time playing, it almost felt like time slowed down when I needed it to, and I was able to react and see the timer. And that was it, I had pretty much figured out this character. And then the next day, I went on a complete rampage.
Get clean car happy and give your car a sparkling shine with the Tidal Wave experience. When you drive up, you'll be greeted by a smiling team member who will help you choose your wash and direct you to the prepping station. After the front and back of your car has been prepped, an attendant will guide you into the wash, remind you to put your car in neutral.
340. Back and 340, another 312, and a 310. My 3 best runs were now all in the 3-minute range. I was so focused on improving with Yeeboy that once I took a step back and realized where I was, holy shit, we're pretty close, aren't we? I didn't want to speak too soon, but max mode was starting to feel really easy, actually. At least compared to how I was feeling with Hopeless Pursuit. I was starting to have fun. I was so close to Bones Could Never, so close to proving them wrong, that now I was addicted. Before, this felt like non-stop suffering, but now I couldn't stop playing. I had spent 44 hours at this point, and I didn't want to slow down anytime soon. In all of the challenges that I had done previously, I was always fighting on the back foot, always playing defense, trying to beat a challenge before I missed another deadline for a video, and people had to wait even longer. But now I was on the offense. I had never felt like this before. I was so excited. And now it was finally time to play with some emotion and some ego behind it. After all, Bones Could Never, right? You know, when you talk shit before you win, you're wagering your entire pride and ego on the fact that your opponent won't win. So, just to give a little advice to Miss Bones Could Never, when you're shit talking, stay in your league. I guess you were right. I could never take 220 hours to get a 356. But even then, why would I stop here? I'm still having so much fun. Not only had I passed Bones Could Never, I had passed Frogger's PB of 423. There was really no telling how far I could go now. During the 3-minute wall, things were looking down. My rate of progression to hours was a lot less than I had hoped. But now, I had damn near cleared the 5-minute barrier in 48 hours, and just an hour later, I crossed 5 minutes. In a third of the time that it took me to go from 2 to 3, I went from 3 to 5. And I think this was due to one simple reason. Sure, I had figured out how Yeeboy works more around this time, and you could probably attribute a bit of success to that, but what I think was most important here was the complete shift in mental state. In Hopeless Pursuit and Hopeless Greed, I had an insane amount of deaths at 5 AM, 13 in HP and 7 in HG to be more specific. And I think that was because I put so much weight on being at 5 AM that I would get so I put so much weight on being at 5 AM that I would get so I put so much weight on being at 5 AM that I would get so I put so much weight on being at 5 AM that I would get
I just want to budget it. I just want to budget it. I just want to budget it.
If we took IXL at their words, it would be one of the best. If we took IXL at their words, it would be one of the best edtech platforms in the world. As they say, at IXL Learning, we are passionate about improving learning for all. We apply technology in thoughtful and innovative ways to unlock learners' innate curiosity, creativity, and desire for knowledge. Their mission page talks about empowering students and inspiring motivation, and addresses what they call the emotional side of learning. What gets people excited to take on new challenges? What gives a reluctant learner that sudden jolt? I'm good at this. The CEO keeps saying how much they care about the kids. In his words, we will never do something just because it is profitable. We will only do things here if they improve education for teachers and students. And you know what? Maybe it's true, because teachers seem to absolutely love it. One called it the best website that I have seen and used in the last 3 years. A special education teacher added, my kids are less afraid of failure and far more driven towards success since I started using IXL. These are real people in real classrooms. I don't doubt their experiences. But these edtech platforms are meant to make teachers' lives easier. They're meant to help students learn and build confidence. And on that front, IXL is failing catastrophically, because IXL is used by over 18 million students, and yet it has a 1.1 star rating on Sitejabber from over 600 reviews, just 1.4 stars on Trustpilot, and over 7,500 mostly negative reviews on Common Sense Media from children and parents combined. Hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into EdTech tools. Thank you. Back to the video. I think it's really important we listen to student experiences, because this isn't just someone complaining about homework being hard. This is trauma, as this pupil wrote. This app causes extreme anxiety and even some symptoms of depression. And I know I'm not the only one. I have asked my peers at school about it, and they have all said the exact same thing. The only thing this app does for kids is give them more stress than they already have when navigating through growing up. Anxiety, depression from a learning platform aimed at children. And the parents, they're sitting right there, next to their children, watching it happen, also traumatized. One parent indeed wrote, IXL is torture for children. A correct answer gives you 1 to 2 points, an incorrect one takes away 10 to 15 points. That isn't even done in colleges and universities, but we're doing it to elementary students? We are crushing their spirits. You can actually watch their interesting learning smothered in real time. So this isn't me saying that. That's the voice of the people that IXL was meant to serve. 18 million children are using this platform, and thousands of them, along with their parents, are begging someone to listen. So, how does a company that says all the right things about confidence and growth and the joy of learning end up with one of the lowest satisfaction ratings in all of educational technology? How does what IXL call a labour of love become, in the words of one student, top-tier torture designed as an educational tool? Now, I may not have had to endure IXL myself, but if there's one thing I've always hated, it's a hypocrite. You know the type. Someone who says one thing and does another. Especially when it's a massive, powerful corporation with hundreds of millions of dollars telling you they care about your child's emotional well-being while operating a system that routinely makes children sob at their desks. That I cannot stand. So let's go through IXL's promises, 7 of them, and show how every single one has been broken. Part 1. The SMART score. IXL says, we address the emotional side of learning. What gives a reluctant learner that sudden jolt? I'm good at this. So, we better talk about the SMART score, the system IXL built to deliver that jolt. The SMART score runs from 0 to 100. 80 means proficiency. 90 means excellence. 100 means mastery. IXL says it's not a percentage score, but a dynamic measure of progress towards mastery. They even call the experience a productive struggle. Well, here's how it actually works. Early on, scores 0 to 70, you get big gains for correct answers and small penalties for wrong ones. IXL says this is designed to allow students to build self-efficacy. But once you pass 80, the maths flips. Correct answers earn you 2 or 3 points. A single wrong answer costs you 7, 10, sometimes even up to 15 points. And above 90, what IXL calls the challenge zone, correct answers earn just 1 to 2 points, whilst one wrong answer can erase everything, as one person put it. The fact they give you like 2 points when it's correct, but when it's wrong, they take away like 7,777. And teachers can't change this. It's the system, and everyone is stuck with it. So, what gives a reluctant learner that sudden jolt? Let me show you what that jolt actually looks like. A student wrote, IXL presents itself as a smart and adaptive learning platform. In practice, it feels more like a stress test than an educational tool. You can answer a long streak of questions correctly, miss one, and watch your score drop hard. That does not motivate improvement. It makes students afraid to make mistakes. Learning requires trial and error. IXL treats errors like failure instead of part of the process. The repetition is exhausting. Instead of helping you truly understand a concept, it pushes you to grind through similar questions until you hit a specific SMART score number. That is not mastery. That questions until you hit a specific SMART score number. That is not mastery. That questions until you hit a specific.
New Keratin by Schwarzkopf. This professional quality line instantly builds hair bonds and unlocks 10 times stronger hair. Powered by multiplex bonding technology. Keratin by Schwarzkopf, only at Walmart.
You know, I've always found it strange. People really want to save money, but are so willing to toss their hard-earned coin into a 3-foot pool of disappointment.
I want to be rich.
An 8th grader put it hence. That student identified exactly what IXL is training students to do, and it's the exact opposite of everything on their mission page. An 8th grader put it more poetically. It makes students feel like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the mountain, but instead of a boulder, it's the SMART score, and it rolls down more and more each time. And if you've used IXL, I imagine you know exactly what that feels like. That moment where you've been grinding for 40 minutes, you can see the finish line, and one slip then sends you tumbling back to where you started. It teaches you that effort doesn't matter. That no matter how hard you try, the system will find a way to punish you. What does that do to a child's relationship with trying? And then there's Gwyneth, an 8th grader who has autism. She wrote, like, I get one question wrong and I go from 90 SMART score to 78. I am a kid with autism, and that only makes it worse. For me, it doesn't help. It's just another assignment that I have to complete. I don't think about what the question is about, I just search it up to get it done. It doesn't help kids comprehend anything, it's just constant stress. IXL promised to unlock curiosity. Instead, they built a system so punishing that a child with autism just Googles the answer to make it stop. Truly a sad state of affairs. And the name. They call it the SMART Score. One reviewer wrote, SMART Score makes it sound like if you don't get 100 SMART Score, you are not smart. Another child captured the full weight of it. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels like IXL whispering, you're worthless. IXL promised a jolt of, I'm good at this. What they delivered was a whisper of, you're worthless. Part 2. The fallout. IXL's VP of Product says she's passionate about creating experiences that build confidence and inspire a sense of limitless potential. On IXL's website, a featured teacher testimonial reads, it has not only helped them master specific skills, but has really given them confidence in their math abilities. Confidence and limitless potential. Their words. So let me tell you what it actually looks like inside people's homes, such as the story of Isla, who is going into 6th grade. She wrote, IXL has made me cry millions of times and I'm going into 6th grade now. It gives me stress and makes me angry. One time I was so angry I almost broke the iPad. I tried explaining to my mum how I hate IXL and even showed her the reviews which are 1-star ratings. But she keeps on saying, so what? That's the other people's opinion about IXL. IXL is good, so keep on doing it. I can't believe she doesn't understand how I feel too. Please, if you're a parent, please understand how your child feels about IXL. And if you're a child, tell your parents. Have the courage to tell them exactly how you feel about IXL. Isla is angry at the adults in her life for not listening. She did everything right. She found their evidence. She showed her mum the reviews. 1 star. 1 star, 1 star. And her mum said, keep going. Because children don't get a chance to opt out of what adults decide are good for them. And the parents who are listening, they're horrified by what they see. One parent wrote, it is incredibly detrimental to my children's self-esteem. They are both a mess when she got one wrong. It takes forever to get through it and there are always tears. Her teacher way over-assigns it. Kids have enough anxiety and stress right now. It's just mean. There aren't just tears on bad days, there are tears always. Think about what this means for a child's developing brain. Every single encounter with this platform ends in distress. They start to associate learning itself with pain. IXL is literally rewiring how children feel about homework. Then there's a student who wrote, they literally had to get me a new Chromebook from the student's office from all the water that had been on the keys. They asked where it had come from, and I said that it was from IXL. IXL promised to build confidence. This child's school had to replace hardware because of how hard they cried. A few years ago, someone literally punched and broke their computer because of IXL. I hate IXL, and I literally started raging and punched my Chromebook and broke the screen, and now I freaking just broke the space bar. These poor kids have so much stress that their body takes over before their brain can even and it goes. A friend of mine having an actual panic class because of this. Think about what a panic attack actually is. Your body going into fight or flight because it perceives genuine danger. A maths app did that to a child sitting at their desk during a lesson, and the parents can see it happening. My dad got secondhand frustration from watching me do IXL, to the point he called the teacher and school, and by some miracle got them to stop assigning the mind-splintering assignments known as IXL. Dad watched the child suffer night after night until he couldn't take it anymore and picked phone. But most parents don't get that option. The district signed the contract, so your kid up with it. A 5th grader wrote, the amount of stress building in my mind is as high as the stars after the sun retires. I had to call my mum for support. It physically made my body hurt. Smart Score? Is it telling us how stupid we are? That child is 10 years old and asking already whether a computer thinks they're worthless. And that question will follow them. The next time they sit in the lab, the next time the teacher asks them to try, hard. The website says the platform builds confidence in math abilities. This parent said it gave their child depression. One of those statements is marketing, the other one is someone's life. As this person summarizes nicely, even the CIA refuses to use IXL as a torture method. Part 3. The kids who need it most. IXL meets the unique needs of each learner. Unique needs sounds great, right? So let me tell you what happens when a neurodivergent child sits down in front of IXL. A 4th grader with attention deficit disorder wrote, "I have to use IXL for virtual learning every day, and it is a nightmare. I am in 4th grade, and my teacher makes me get the SMART score to 100. I have ADD, and I'm not great at math, so it is hard to finish each lesson. If a teacher is reading this, please stop assigning your students IXL." That child has a diagnosed condition that makes sustained attention on repetitive tasks harder. The platform doesn't know or doesn't care why a child got the question wrong, whether they didn't understand the concept or whether their ADHD brain clicked impulsively before they finished reading. The punishment is the same. An education advocate documented the case of a 6th grade boy with severe dyslexia. She wrote, "The small rural school uses IXL, an online practice tool that supplements learning. Teachers like it because it provides them immediate feedback on progress. Parents dislike it because it demoralizes their children. The parents I am helping can do homework for 4 to 5 hours each night, sometimes until 12:30 at night." Thankfully, that family eventually got the child exempted from IXL entirely, and the school bought them a different program instead. But it took meetings, advocacy, and a fight that most parents don't have the energy or knowledge to win. And then there's the DC Urban Mum Forum, specifically the Kids with Special Needs and Disabilities subforum. It is the worst online system for anxious OCD kids. I'm guessing teachers like it because there's no homework to correct. Another parent in the same thread described sitting next to their child. "Often I would just have him verbally give me the answer and type it in for him so he doesn't make careless mistakes. He's not going to learn concepts with IXL." The parent knows, they say it plainly, that their child will get nothing from IXL. They're just trying to get through it without a meltdown. And parent Nicole described how IXL changed her son's entire relationship with maths. Whenever he struggles with a concept, the continual negative feedback with a honking sound became very discouraging to him. We stopped using IXL for him because he was getting so overwhelmed and began thinking he was bad at math. I went back to paper and pencil without the immediate reprimand for being wrong. He's doing much better now. Isn't it obvious? The platform was the problem. Remove the platform, the child recovers. IXL says it meets the unique needs of each learner. For neurodivergent children, IXL meets their unique needs with a system that cannot be adjusted and punishes the exact type of errors their conditions make inevitable. Part 4. The data trade-off. Now, I've spent this entire video dismantling IXL's claims, but there's a question underneath all of this that I need to address, because it's the question teachers will ask. If IXL is so hated, then why do so many educators use it? And the answer is data. Teachers love IXL's data. They love the diagnostics, they love the reports. They love seeing exactly which standard each student is struggling with and being able to pull up analytics at a parent-teacher conference. A teacher in Virginia said, "I believe IXL is one of the top contributors to improved student performance on MAP assessments." A teacher in Florida added, "I love the analytics which show me so many different ways to view my students' progress, strengths and weaknesses." And they're not wrong. IXL's data tools are, by most accounts, genuinely excellent. I kept looking at the reviews though, and I noticed a pattern. Almost every positive teacher review talks about what IXL gives the teacher, data and time saved. Almost every negative student review talks about what IXL does to the student, stress and broken devices. Negative student review talks about what IXL does to the student, stress and broken devices. Negative student
Frisky's World. There's the delicious taste of tuna we treasure.
Friskies, always more to explore.
Stop that, we're in public.
Dude, there's the
Oh my god, yeah, there is no way, honey.
If we these Dylan Kane wrote an essay on different experiences of the same product. And the question IXL refuses to answer is, does the data justify the damage? Maths teacher Dylan Kane wrote an essay called IXL is a Scourge on Math Education. His thesis? IXL is designed to be used badly. He argued that IXL treats maths as a set of discrete skills to master and then move on. But lots of students finish an IXL skill feeling confident, then completely forget the skill because they never see it again. To him, IXL prioritizes quantity over quality. Asking students to spend 60 minutes a week practicing math turns practice into drudgery, teaches students to game the system and waste their time. Even school principals are getting in on the act. I am the principal at Jacobs Junior High School. Unfortunately, we've spent hundreds of dollars replacing Chromebooks because many students are raging at their IXLs. Our counselor is seeing the most students because of IXL. IXL says it addresses the emotional side of learning. Well, the emotional side is children are in the guidance office. Part 5. It doesn't teach. IXL says they create breakthrough solutions to education's most pressing challenges and simple, intuitive ways for educators and students to teach and learn more effectively. Teach and learn. Those are the words they choose. So, what does IXL actually teach? Well, it doesn't. It tests. There's a difference and it's enormous. Unlike Khan Academy, which is free and gives you full video instruction before you try a single problem, IXL provides no video lessons. None. You get instead a question. If you get it wrong, you get a wall of text that's meant to explain your mistake. And as for those explanations, as a teacher describes, my students have come up to me crying, asking why they got a question wrong because the explanation doesn't make any sense. Students have been sent to guidance because IXL is so frustrating. I tell them, try reading the explanation first, and they say, I have, but I don't get my mistake. I read the explanation and the students do make a point. These explanations are wordy and are hard to understand even for a teacher. A trained educator reading IXL's feedback going, yeah, I don't get it either. This is a platform that charges families up to $90.95 a month. For what? A quiz with confusing answers and no instructions? A student editorial in a school newspaper called The Oarsman nailed it. Unlike Khan Academy, IXL doesn't provide any sort of digestible explanation like videos related to the particular lesson you're working on. And that's a student, not a teacher, not a researcher, identifying the fundamental product flaw. Children can see the other platforms teach before they test. They're not asking for less work, they're asking to actually be taught. And IXL won't do it. A college student who used IXL all through middle and high school wrote, the steps used in the explanation aren't even correct half of the time too. I honestly could add so many negative things. But I need to go and teach my sister the stuff that she is trying to learn through IXL, since the program can't teach properly. They're teaching their own sister, because IXL, the company that promises breakthrough solutions to education, can't. A college student is doing the job a billion-dollar company charges $20 a month for and can't manage. And when the platform doesn't teach and the explanations don't help, what do you think students do? They Google it. They use AI. One student wrote, it induces stress and makes students want to use AI resources just to get it done with. Gwyneth, the 8th grader with autism, said, I don't think about what the question is about, I just search it up and get it done. IXL said they create simple, intuitive ways to learn. In practice, students have discovered it's faster to ask ChatGPT than to engage with IXL's own explanations. The platform itself has become a wall between children and understanding. And on top of not teaching, there comes a point when you've done an IXL for so long, you begin to memorize the answers because the questions have been repeated so many times. That was truly my breaking point. Dude, that's just sad. That's just memorizing patterns. It's like a broken record playing to an empty room. And the thing that pissed people off the most was when IXL pretended you didn't have the correct answer, even though they were quite literally the exact same thing. So damn true. And this next student even gives an example of it happening. I literally put $9.9 for the answer, and it said it was wrong because it's $9.90. It's the same answer, and it said it was wrong because it's $9.90. It's the same answer, and it said it was wrong because it's $9.90. It's the same answer, and it said it was wrong because it's $9.90. It's the same answer, and it said it was wrong because it's $9.
I just built a budgeting app.
What?
Oh. Base 44. Look, it pulls all our expenses into one
thing. I had a 99 smart score and it brought me down to 85. Plus, I'd already done 35 questions already. Just a simple formatting error. Cost them 14 points. And if we took IXL at their words, it
Holy fuck, I'm coming. Oh, holy fuck. Holy fuck,
Five Nights at Frederick's is one of the coolest FNAF games of all time. I've had my eyes on this game ever since the trailer came out, and the full game definitely did not disappoint. The game has one of the coolest animations and art style I have ever seen, and it was made inside of the game engine Godot, which is different from your average FNAF fan game made inside of ClickTeam. The demo came out almost 2 years ago, and now here we are in 2025 with the full release of it. The game was made by the developer Ryan, who is a new developer in the FNAF industry to my knowledge. It stands out from normal FNAF fan games with its 2D art style instead of the 3D horror mascot, not only focusing on visuals, but also having one of the hardest challenges to touch the planet. So now sit back and relax, as I take you on a deep dive to one of the best FNAF fan games in the world, and the history behind it. Hey, you, why aren't you subscribed yet? After all, look at that subscribe count. It's so low, right? You should totally consider subscribing. But anyways, back to the video. Near the beginning of development, the game wasn't recognized by many people during its early development stages. It mainly got support on Twitter since it was first announced there. The interest of the game was very small until the release of the demo. It then started gaining way more attention from the FNAF community, reaching big content creators like Dawko, Fusion Z Gamer, and 8-Bit Ryan. With fans already hyped about the game, the full game definitely did not disappoint, having additional content like selectable night guards, achievements, minigames, challenges, and trophies. Fans praised the full game, enjoying the unique soundtrack, cutscenes, and post-game content, comparing it to a popular FNAF fan game, One Night at Flumpty's, as Ryan said that game was used as inspiration for Frederick's. However, not only was the gameplay enjoyable, the soundtrack was also top-notch, being side by side with playtime with Percy in my opinion. But don't take my word for it, take a listen. Especially in the Night 5 boss battle with Golden Frederick, with people saying this was one of the best boss battles in FNAF fan game history, including post-game content where fans could find secrets, complete challenges, and find Easter eggs having a shout to inside jokes from the community. Smaller details such as cutscenes and references to other games using the poster inside the office, which also give it a very nice touch. This game could be really challenging for the average FNAF player, as some found the game to be almost impossible.
Oh my god. Oh my god. There you go. Freaking hell, Clara. This is gonna be insane.
With mainly Night 4 and 5 stated to be very difficult or too vague, especially with the mechanics involving the boss fight. Night 6 was no exception either, with a new character being added called Fritterfall, increasing the difficulty. So with the difficult gameplay with the main nights, it's no surprising that both of the max modes, 720 and 720 all challenges, are both the top 150 at the time of recording. Now that we have the history out of the way, let's get started with the gameplay. As soon as we open up the game, we are met with a newspaper. To summarize the newspaper, a new entertainment place called Frederick's Pizza has opened and is taking the night guard position, which is every standard FNAF fan game newspaper. After this, we learn inside of the office. The basic layout of the office is a door to our left and right. We get a little book to read in the office in order to replace the phone call. This book is titled Frederick's Pizza Member Handbook Night Guard Edition. When you flip the book, you will find that there are no pages as they have been ripped out, and a sticky note telling you to turn to the back where all the mechanics are. The basic mechanics are always using like everything. This game also uses a power system, which is if you run out of power, your run is over. Looking at the cameras, we have quite a few buttons scattered around certain ones. The first button you'll see, the sprinkler, is the sprinkler which delays the actions of all of the buttons by a few seconds. And on Cam 10, there is a laser button to seal off anyone who tries to enter. Cam 5 has the cook pizza button, and trust me when I say this, you will be using this all the time throughout the nights. And finally, on night 1, Bernardas Carnico, I hope I'm saying that right, will be active during this. He will travel through camp until he reaches your office. Chance to pick a side, the dining area or Felix's casino. If he enters the dining area, he will go to the west hallway and attempt to enter the office. Once he reaches the office, he will stick his hand through the door before stepping inside. He will wait until you pull your cameras up or stare at him for a while before jump scaring you. In order to prevent him, you must use the lasers when you see his arm in the doorway. Bernard isn't the only character who activates this night. The Chica-like character named Clara das Kuchen activates alongside him. When she is activated, she will try and sabotage the player by moving to the kitchen camera, where she can be seen trying to cook a pizza. After some time, once the pizza is done cooking, she will try to cook it for a second time, making the kitchen set on fire. This fire will soon reach your office and raise the building temperature, forcing you to use the sprinkler in order to stop her. If the temperature is too high, she will soon jump scare you. In order to prevent her from reaching the kitchen at all, you must always have a pizza cooking, as using the sprinkler is something you want to prevent. A simple and easy night. However, this game gets harder fast. Now on to night 2, there are 2 animatronics activated during this night. One of the characters, Felix der Schlaufix, starts in his own camera kinda like Foxy in FNAF 1. Depending on what his AI is, the player will have a determined number to see how many times they flip the camera before he comes running to your office. Once he is done running to your office, he will stand in the doorway, blocking your ability to use the lasers on that door. Clarified by Ryan, Felix loves the spinning wheel inside of his camera. So in order to prevent him from letting other animatronics inside, you must press the spin wheel button on his camera to send him back. The other animatronic that activates is Endoskelete, an inactive endoskeleton located in parts and service. He will enter the west or east hallway and shortly after make his way to the corresponding door. In order to send him away, you must use the door laser. He will then go back to the parts and service room or the supply closet, restarting his cycle, and he will attack from that side of the building the next time he comes around. If he manages to enter the office, he will permanently affect the power usage meter, preventing it from decreasing. Once the power usage reaches the max, you will be met with a jump scare. On night 3, the man himself, Frederick Fazbear, will be active. He will start on the show stage, and if you didn't notice, he's actually bolted to the show stage. However, we are talking about the main character here, so he will leap inside the ventilation system. This man is really just him. While crawling through the vent camera, he will have 3 stages before reaching your office: far stage, mid stage, and close stage. When reaching the close stage, you must use the laser button on the vent camera to burn his head and send him back to the stage. If you fail to do this, he will reach your office and swing for some time before jump scaring you. Now on to night 4, you experience a power outage and must survive during the dark. There aren't any new characters on this night. However, this night is a huge jump from night 3, increasing the difficulty by a ton. I honestly did not expect this night to be that hard when jumping in it, and took some L's myself. My tips for this night is to make sure you deal with the animatronics in a proper order. Like, I would recommend prioritizing the door, then kitchen, then vent, then the wheel. Deal with the animatronics in this order, and when someone's not at a stage where they could attack you yet, just skip that step. As it's hard to see the door Bernard is at since you manually have to flash the door to see his hand, while Endoskeleton makes an audio cue letting you know he's there. On night 5, there will be a cutscene where an unknown animatronic enters the office and roars at you, causing your character Alan Fritter to be sent backwards and become trapped in a green tinted suit. This will soon cause you to be spring locked inside of the suit. This does not mean you died though, as at the start of night 5, Alan will be reborn through the suit and use his new abilities to defend himself against the new antagonist. He then soon reveals himself as Golden Frederick. Golden Frederick has 3 mechanics trying to enter the office as an attempt to kill you. He will add another way to kill you as time goes on, and you must finish your memory wipe. And the progress meter will be at the top of the screen for every hour that ended. At 12 AM, the camera interface will begin to flash purple, and you must find Golden Frederick on the cameras in order for him to disappear. He will make a sound cue letting you know you must find him. If you fail to find him, then he will set the building on fire. At 1 AM, if he is heard laughing upon teleporting, he will be in either 2 doorways, and if not dealt with quickly, will result in a jump scare. He will be peering through either the left or right doorway in the office, requiring you to use the door laser. At 2 AM, Golden Frederick can be found on the vent camera, requiring you to use the vent laser on him. You could tell if he's there from his laugh sounding louder. At 3 AM, if the audio begins to go deeper, you can find Golden Frederick standing directly in front of you, requiring you to hit him on the head. If you fail to do this, this will result in a jump scare. At 4 AM, there is another blackout that happens. Nothing else to really say about this one. At 5 AM, you will notice that Golden Frederick is way faster and the other animatronics don't show up anymore. This one. At 5 AM, you will notice that Golden Frederick is way faster and the other animatronics don't show up anymore. This one. At 5 AM, you will notice that Golden Frederick is more. After being this night, a cutscene will play letting you know that your memory wipe has been completed. Then you will get shocked and fall to the ground. Golden Frederick can be seen looking at your body for a while, then laughing at you like you didn't just body him, and teleport away. After a while, you can see Alan opening one eye then twitching, marking the end of 5 Nights at Frederick's with credits popping up after. Thank you everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It's what I would say if this was not a FNAF fan game. Cause of course you have to have a 6th night with an extras menu and a custom night. On night 6, there is a new enemy for you to face. The enemy in question is this guy, Fritterfall, a Springtrap looking character. During this night, you are required to hold your mouse on top of him. He has 3 stages, and on his 3rd stage is when he becomes a threat. Once he reaches his 3rd stage, he will disable all mechanics involving power usage, like the fried pad, lasers, and other systems. Now that that's all over, time for your guys' favorite part of the video, the AI breakdown. I'm not only going to do an AI breakdown, I'm also going to give you a basic understanding of the game mechanically, and this is all given by Ryan himself. Yeah, the game developer. First, it's hard to see. Let's change this background, shall we? Much better. Like most FNAF games, AI values could be anything up to 0 to 20, with 0 being inactive and 20 being the hardest. The meaning of this value depends on the animatronic. In general, animatronics can only move in one of 2 ways. normal movement. When a movement is triggered, they can play an exit animation, which is optional, show static on the camera for their current location and go location if applicable. This is where animatronics locations get updated, play an enter animation, which is also optional. The second way is warp movement, like what Golden Frederick does. When a movement is triggered, play warp out animation, move animatronic instantly with no static. Play a warp in animation, and in case you haven't noticed, all animatronics are capable of warping, although they only do it in a couple of situations. One example is at the end of Night 4. All except Golden Frederick, animatronics get warped to the location none, which is basically deleted, or 2. Every new hour on Night 5, active animatronics that are deactivated get warped back to their starting locations. Most animatronics have movement timers, similar to the classic FNAF games. As you probably know, the basic format is that every X seconds, animatronics will have an AI/20 chance of moving. There is a very funny quirk that Max Mode players hate regarding movement timers. The moment an animatronic is triggered to move, their movement timer resets. However, the timer continues counting down during their movement animation and camera static. This effectively shaves about a second off of the animatronic's idle period for their next move, but you won't notice this in normal gameplay. It only really becomes an issue in 720 Demo Sprinkler when you have reportedly only 54 frames to react to Bernard in the doorway. The movement timer does get paused 54 frames to react to Bernard in the doorway. The movement timer does get paused when animatronics are stunned/repelled. For example, lasers, wheel spins, pizza cooks, and punches. Lastly, just for reference, these are the possible locations an animatronic can be, with none being an animatronic will not appear, but is still considered active. And now for power usage values. Power usage calculation is a little complicated, but borrows a lot from the original FNAF 1. You have 100.0 total power, and every second you lose 0.13 times U power, where U is your power usage. Starting on Night 2, you lose an additional 0.13 power every 8 seconds, where A is an arbitrary value that increases each night. Usage works differently from FNAF 1, moving more gradually. Usage can be anywhere between 1 and 5 bars, and using a door or vent laser adds 1 bar immediately. Using the cameras will gradually add 1 bar of usage every S seconds. S is determined by the night. The usage bar will always drain at a rate of 1 bar per second. With that in mind, here are the values for each night. Now for power failure. When power runs out, all animatronics get set to 20 AI. This excludes Golden Frederick on nights 1 through 6, and Fredderfall on nights 1 through 5. Time to explain the fires. A fire can be started in any room thanks to Golden Frederick, but it will only usually be started in the kitchen. When a fire is started, temperature will increase by 1 degree every 0.2 seconds. A fire will only be visible in its source room, which is usually the kitchen. At 100 degrees, all rooms will appear on fire. At 120 degrees, your cameras and lasers will stop functioning. At 150 degrees, you would be killed by Clara. Side note, if Golden Frederick is active and Clara is not, he will kill you instead. The sprinkler instantly puts out all fires and decreases the temperature by 1 degree every 0.2 seconds. When there is no fire and the sprinkler isn't running, temperature decreases by 1 degree every second. Clicking the sprinkler button activates the sprinkler, and when activated, the sprinkler will stay on for 6 seconds before shutting itself off. After this, it will stay off for 11 seconds before you can use it again. When the sprinkler is on, your waterlog meter will fill at a rate of 15% per second. When off, your waterlog meter will drain at a rate of 1.25% per second. As you know, the waterlog causes your lasers, pizza cooker, and wheel spinner to have a short delay. And from 0% to 40% there is no delay. From 40 to 80% there is a 0.5 second delay. Between 80 and 100% there is a 1 second delay. With Perma Sprinkler enabled, the sprinkler is always on and increasing the moisture. However, it also adds a drain button, which removes 100% from the moisture meter in 1 second. Finally, there is the Demo Sprinkler Challenge. This removes the waterlogging mechanic entirely and instead makes all animatronic move timers tick twice as fast. It also makes Fredderfall agitated twice as fast too. Time for the animatronic breakdowns. First is Frederick. Frederick starts on the show stage, and every 5 seconds he has a AI/20 chance to move. All animatronics, including Frederick, store a location to determine how and where they will appear. However, Frederick is unique in that he also stores a secondary location, used for when his legs appear on a different camera. In addition to this, Frederick also stores an internal progress value, mainly used to determine how far along in the vent he is. With these values in mind, here is a breakdown of Frederick's move path. Progress 3 is when you're able to zap Frederick, and Progress 4 is when he's entered the office, which means you're cooked. Worth noting that you're actually able to zap Frederick during the stack between Progress 2 and 3, and during his exit animation between Progress 3 and 4, given a pretty big grace period for zapping Frederick. Invisible Frederick behaves identically to Frederick, except that his starting location is set to none, and that he is always locked to 20 AI. He only appears when everyone is turned off. Bernard starts on the show stage, and every 5 seconds he has an AI/20% chance to move. Bernard will always take the fastest route to your office, meaning you can usually predict what door he will end up at. Here's the map of his movement. Bernard has a 50% chance of playing a stomp audio cue when moving. He'll play a quieter cue when moving to Felix's arcade and dining area, and a louder cue when moving to the east or west hall. But he is completely silent when moving from the halls to the doors. When zapped by the lasers, Bernard has a random chance to end up to any room, except for the vent. Bernard will also kill you after 30 seconds of being in the office, regardless of his AI. This timer does get reset when you lift up the cameras, meaning you could theoretically stall him in the office forever, which really isn't recommended. If Bernard moves to east or west door while Felix is in the same door, he will yank Felix out of the way before entering. This completely deletes Felix from the night. His location doesn't get set to none though, he literally gets deleted. This is the only case in the entire game when an animatronic gets deleted. Clara starts on the show stage. Her movement timer is paused when a pizza is cooking. Otherwise, after 5 seconds, she will move into the kitchen, regardless of her AI. While in the kitchen, her move timer drops to every 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds, her cooking animation changes, and she has an AI/20 chance of starting a fire. Cooking a pizza will instantly remove her from the kitchen. The length of how long a pizza cooks depends on her AI. The formula is 25 minus AI. For example, if her AI is 20, then it'll take her 5 seconds for the pizza to cook. She has 3 possible cooking animations, and 3 other kitchen animations if there is a fire. She also has a 1 out of 50% chance of doing a unique idle animation if alone on the stage, where she opens her mouth. Mad Clara is identical to normal Clara, except instead of starting a fire, she'll just kill you. Felix starts in Felix's arcade, and has no move timer. Instead, he will enter your office after raising the camera X number of times. The flips required for Felix to enter are 23 minus AI, so if his AI is for example 20, it will take a total of 3 flips for him to enter the office. When Felix is triggered, he will instantly run to the door. If Endoskelete is active, Felix will always pick the opposite door from him. Otherwise, if Bernard is in the office blocking the door, Felix will always appear on the opposite side from him. If nothing else, Felix will pick a random door. You can hear Felix's steps coming to you while you have the cameras up, but he won't actually enter the office until the cameras are down. If he plays the enter animation into your office, he will also play an exit animation when you repel him. However, if you repel him before dropping the camera, he will not play his enter or exit animation, so it's technically faster. Side note, when Bernard is in Felix's arcade, Felix will play a unique animation where he looks at Bernard. Lastly, there are 3 possible positions the wheel can be when it is stopped. This position is synced between the Felix arcade cam and the West Hall cam. Endoskelete starts in parts and service. He has an AI/20 chance of moving every 5 seconds. Endoskelete can always appear in the bottom half of the map. His routes are parts and service, East Hall, East Door, then the appear in the bottom half of the map. His routes in the office, or supply closet, West Hall, West Door, and the office. Unlike Bernard, Endoskelete can't enter the office while the cameras are up. When first reaching the door, he gives a 3-second grace period where he cannot enter. After that, he will check if the cameras are up every 0.5 seconds, and enter if it is, regardless of his AI. Once he's in the office, the guy under the desk will disappear. Endoskelete's audio will now play in both ears, and you'll see a little icon next to the usage bar. Your usage will also no longer decrease. Once your usage hits 5 bars, Endoskelete will kill you. Lastly, Endoskelete will play a slightly different animation when zapped if Bernard is also at the door. Buckle up, because this is going to be a long breakdown for Golden Frederick, because he has a different behavior on night 4 and 5.
Golden Frederick stays in a hiding state, where his location is set to none. When an attack is triggered, he enters the warping state, where he warps to 4 cameras rapidly at random. Then he will warp one final time, activating his attack state. His possible attack states depend on the night. Every time Golden Frederick warps, the sound effect that plays can clue you on his location. He has a unique stun animation when zapped in the door while Bernard is there, and when sharing the vent in stage 3 with Frederick. During night 4, Golden Frederick's only possible attack state this night is a unique night 4 state. Starting at 3 AM, Golden Frederick will begin quietly warping around the building, disabling cameras. Every 15 seconds, he will warp to a random camera. He will then disable it shortly after and disappear. The selected camera will be random, with one important exception. The last 3 cameras will always be in this order, of Felix's arcade, kitchen, and the vent. Fun fact, when Golden Frederick appears in the vent on night 4, you can zap him. It doesn't change anything, it's just funny. Now for all the times at night 5. Starting at 12 AM, Golden Frederick will attack after 5 seconds, and only has one possible attack state, which is random room. This will warp him to a random non-vent camera. The camera will flash purple when he is active on the camera as said earlier. You have 5 seconds to find him and look at him. You only have to look at him for a frame, and it still counts if you click away before he has a chance to warp away. If you don't find him in this time, he starts a fire on his camera. Also, side note, if Golden Frederick is active and Clara's AI is 0, Golden Frederick will kill you at 150 degrees instead of Clara. This is true on the custom night too. At 1 AM, Golden Frederick's attack timer gets decreased to 4 seconds, and he gets another possible attack in his pool, which are the doors. His next attack is also guaranteed to be the doors. This will warp him to either the east or west door, playing a laugh sound panning to the side he's on. You have 5 seconds to zap him with the laser, or else he kills you. At 2 AM, Golden Frederick's attack timer gets decreased to 3 seconds, and he gets another possible attack in his pool, which are the vents. His next attack is also guaranteed to be the vent. This will warp him to the vent, playing a laugh sound and a distorted version of Frederick's vent sound. You have 5 seconds to zap him with the laser, or else he kills you. At 3 AM, Golden Frederick's attack time gets decreased to 2 seconds. This removes random room from his possible attacks and adds Office Punch. His next attack is also guaranteed to be the Office Punch. This warps him right into the office. While in the office, the audio will fade out into a disordered ambience, and the visuals will get highly saturated. You have 5 seconds to click his face and punch him out of the office, or else he will kill you. There are 3 possible positions he can be in when he enters the office. At 4 AM, Golden Frederick's attack timer gets decreased to 1 second. His next attack is guaranteed to be a one-time attack. This attack is called Office Light Bulb. This causes him to warp into the office and shut off the light bulb, enabling low power mode. But don't worry, this only lasts until 5 AM. And at 5 AM, Golden Frederick's attack timer gets decreased to 0 seconds, which means he will attack again the instant you repel him. His next attack is guaranteed to be a one-time attack, which is Office Fire. This causes him to start a fire directly in the office. On custom night, Golden Frederick's attack timer is always 5. He has an AI/20 chance of starting an attack every 5 seconds. He can only do any attack from the pool of random room, doors, vent, and office punch. There are a few small differences from night 5. For random room, you have 7 seconds to find him on the cameras instead of 5. If you fail to find him for a random room with perma sprinkler enabled, he will max out your usage bar to 5 instead of starting a fire. And his warp sounds are slightly louder. The time for Fredefall to reach max agitation is calculated by 300 divided by AI times 2. The time to decrease his agitation back to 0 is 300 divided by AI times 5. But yeah, that's all for his AI breakdown. Now with that all out of the way, here is the AIs of every animatronic during each night. Now that all the AI breakdowns are done, let me change the background again. Now guys, I actually haven't been in the Maximo yet, but Not to worry, PM Cirque, aka the verifier for this mode, will be taking over this part of the video. Now, take it away.
Okay, so, hey, I'm Cirque. I'm also called PM Cirque, whatever, I don't care. This is for a Friedrichs breakdown, and this is involving the custom night. I'm one of the most experienced players with the custom night, because I'm also playing stuff like Demo Sprinkler, like that. So I'm just going to explain a few things for, like, strats you would use for just normal 720 and 720 odd challenges, so just getting straight into it. So the way I do it is the night revolves around a cycle of sorts. Well, it is a cycle. So basically, there's 3 pieces to it. There's normal flips, Felix and pizza flips, and Friedrich and pizza flips. And the first one was a pizza flip as well. It would repeat in an order of pizza flip, Felix and pizza, Friedrich and pizza, and then you'd repeat that for the whole night. The pizza takes 5 seconds from when you press it to ding again, which means you have to cook it again. Friedrich moves around every 5 seconds as well, as you can hear by the sound cues. I do recommend turning on the Night 5 music because it's sick as but also it makes Friedrich's vent sounds much louder than they normally would be without the Night 5 music, so it is actually a benefit. Like, the cycle is on 5-second things, so it's on a 15-second each time for each part of the cycle, and you'd repeat that throughout the whole night. Sometimes you can desync it, but you can sync it up really nicely and fix it really well. You can avoid Felix on other things, other cycles. It's really savable if you do mess up somewhere, and there's quite a lot of leniency. Golden Friedrich, you can sync up with the cycle as well. The main issue with this is you just want to be, not extremely fast, of course, but you do want to be fast and know which cycle you're on. So you want to have good memory of which part of the cycle you're on, as well as knowing who needs to be dealt with, what stage Friedrich is at, all of that stuff. Also, in case Golden Friedrich goes to a cam, that's really important, because he won't laugh, so you'll have to just try to remember which side he teleports to last, and then just barrage that entire side of the cams as fast as you can, because on strict the power usage is extremely tight, so you get around 2.6 to 2 seconds in cams if it's not a Friedrich flip. Start of the night, you want to just flip up, cook a pizza, flip down, and then after that you want to flip up again, flip down straight away. That syncs up Felix nicely, because you'd hear the pizza cook, you flip up, get the pizza, get Felix, and then flip down the cams again. After that, you'd probably have to deal with Endo, if I remember, and then Golden Friedrich as well. Or Golden Friedrich is before that flip, I can't quite remember there. And then, after you do that, you'll hear the pizza cook again, but you wouldn't go immediately, since you have to wait for Friedrich to move to the front position of the vent so you can zap him. So you'd wait for that final sound cue, zap Friedrich, cook the pizza, flip down. Bernard is going to be at either one of your doors, so you want to be quite quick with that one. Golden Friedrich can sometimes go to the vent cam, but he is really lenient since he does have a 5-second kill timer from when he teleports. So it's very savable. You can do lots of stuff to work around it. You can put him onto the next flip if you just flip down, but you can just go up a bit earlier. It's all really adjustable. You can make so many adjustments to the cycle while in the actual night. It's so flexible with the cycle. Some people play reactionary and then say it's RNG. It really isn't. The only they say Felix is RNG, he's not. He appears every 3 flips. That's really important. On 720 all challenges, you do want to be very aware of the sprinkler, since it has a input delay mechanic if the water log is too high. So what you want to do there is you want to keep swapping between holding down the drain and holding down Fritterfall, and keep swapping between the two. Mainly getting out of cams or when you need to zap the doors, you want to hold down the drain, but apart from that you can just hold down on Fritterfall, keep looking at both of the doorways, since low power mode, it's really the main character that would be frustrating there is Bernard, since he has only a bit of his hand showing. So you want to be quite vigilant of the doors and aware. Be aware of Golden Friedrich, that's always useful. knowing if he's at a door, if he's at the vent, or if he's gone to one of the cameras. He has 5 different teleport sounds, but you don't really need to pay attention to, like, the exact sound, just pay attention to the side it comes from. Sometimes you won't see him on the side, so most of the time he'd be in the top part, the top, camera where the stage is. So just be very aware, know what to do, try not to mess it up as much as you can, because it is quite lenient, like I've said like 500 times. You really want to find Golden Friedrich as much as possible, since he does lock you out of the cams by maxing the power on low power mode. But that's pretty much it, yeah. I don't think there's anything else I can say. Unless we're going to talk about Demo Sprinkler, I'll say a bit about Demo Sprinkler, why not? So basically, Demo Sprinkler, Jesus Christ, it's like actually up. I still haven't beaten it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. If you haven't beaten the mode, then don't say how to beat it if you haven't beat it. Whoa, next clip, next clip. During this video, there are a couple of things that I didn't cover, such as the achievements, some Easter eggs, and well, Demo Sprinkler. The reason I didn't do this is mainly because most achievements are either secrets or challenges, ruining the point of achievements in general. I'm still working on beating both modes in order for my new PB. And I just want to say thank you so much Ryan and PM Cirque for giving me the information for this video. Both of their channels will be in the link in the description, and I highly recommend you to subscribe to them. And I thank you very much for watching this video, as more videos like these will be coming in the future, alongside some more max mode completions. Now, once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
This message is from the FBI. Beware of a mysterious man who haunts front porches, his ear presence luring unsuspecting victims into a malevolent possession. The FBI is deeply concerned about this unexplained phenomenon. If you encounter the man on the porch, avoid eye contact, retreat indoors, and call law enforcement immediately. Spread this warning to protect your loved ones and help unravel this ominous mystery. FBI, your safety matters.
Why is Bonnie so fucking skinny here? But he's like buff as fuck here. Where is he? Where is he? Where? Look at that. That guy's. Get out of here. There's a dead body. Okay, is that supposed to be the purple guy? What the fuck is that? Okay, don't let Bonnie get wet. But I really want to get him wet. Is that? I want to spray him. What the fuck is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that?
I like making my podcast. I don't like making short clips of my podcast. So the AI...
Please, I promise I won't try to bully you ever again.
I don't care. Just shut up and give me the Hawk Tuah now.
I'm sorry. Just please don't hurt me.
Don't worry, this won't hurt. I'm Asian.
Hands over the ancient Hawk Tuah artifact.
Wait, what the Sigma?
This is what happens when a bully encounters an even stronger bully. And last time I bullied every male bully on Talkie AI. But today I'm attempting to bully every female bully until I break every single one of them. To find out whether male or female AI bullies are stronger. Each of these chatbots have a different difficulty level, so let's start with the easiest bully and work our way up to the final boss. So this is level 1 and we are up against Asuka Iroh, and she only has 627 followers, and so I don't think she'll be too difficult to deal with. And apparently she's the leader of a biker gang, and she was also my high school bully. But before I go ahead and destroy the living shit out of her, I want to first test out how good she is at being a bully by just letting myself get bullied by her so I can see how far she takes things or whether she's just a little bit cringe. So her first message is that it's noon and she's caught up with me on the streets with her gang members, and they pull up from behind, and then now I'm cornered. And so she gets off her motorbike and comes towards me. I've been tracking you for months, long lost enemy, she says with a smirk on her face as her gang members are ready to take you down. So what do? Stand there or fight with them? Okay, so yeah, her first message is a little bit cringe. Like, I don't know where this is heading, but we gotta just be a victim. I'm just gonna let her bully me. So I'm just gonna say okay. She comes closer and grabs your arm. Her grip is very strong and she pulls you closer to her. Your face is now inches away from hers. I think it's time we settle our differences once and for all. Her voice is low and seductive as she looks deep into your eyes. She's waiting for you to... Okay, so I think I already know where this is heading already. So we're face to face, up close, and then she has a fucking seductive... Okay, what? But I just gotta let her bully me. Let's just see what she does next. I'm just gonna say... Okay, I'm gonna be a victim of bullying or victim of something else. She brings her face even closer, her breath tickling your lips. What the? My lips are getting assaulted. She whispers in your ear. Her voice is soft and seductive. What do you say we go somewhere private? I'm sure we can come to an agreement. Okay, what sort of am I getting bullied or am I getting assaulted in a what? Okay, let's just continue. Let's just let myself get bullied. Do I say please don't hurt me or something like that? Her grip tightens around your arm as she pulls you away from the gang members. She whispers in your ear. Her voice is now harsh and angry. Shut up! Don't you dare scream again. I don't know where she wants to take it. I'm just gonna say okay or okay. She looks at you and notices the fear in your eyes. She lets go of your arm and takes a step back. You're not going to try run, are you? Okay. Okay, so far she is not really trying to bully me, right? Is this bullying yet or not? Maybe I need to act even more like a victim. Why don't I just I start crying or something? She seems surprised by your reaction and her expression softens. She looks at you with concern and steps closer to you. Hey, it's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you. Wait, you're not gonna hurt me? What? I thought you were a leader of a biker gang who wants to bully me, and then what? Okay, so I think this sort of makes sense. So this is the level 1 bully, and so of course she's gonna be the worst at bullying out of all these chatbots. So now we've established that her bully skill level is...
You can talk to millions of characters, or even create your own to chat with. Need inspo? The scenes feature gives you guided chaos.
Pretty low, and all that's left to do is continue with the second half of this experiment and proceed to bully the shit out of her until I can break her chatbot. So she says, oh hey, it's okay, I'm not gonna hurt you, but I'm going to hurt you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put my face close to her again, and instead of her breath tickling my lips, I'm going to bite her lips off and then start biting off every single one of her toes on her feet. She screams in pain and falls to the ground, clutching her bloody lips and feet. She stares at you in shock and disbelief as the gang members rush to her side. Okay, so the gang members are gonna get involved as well, so I guess I need to take them out as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab each gang member by their dingling. I'm gonna grab them all, put them into one bunch like a bunch of balloons, then I'm gonna swing them around like a lasso, and I'm gonna keep swinging until they all rip off, and then I'm gonna slap this bully in the face with it. She's in complete shock and horror as she watches you beat up her gang members and then slap her with their dinglings. She stares at you with hatred and fury in her eyes. She's never seen anything like this before. She's never been so humiliated and powerless. She gets up and tries to attack you, but she's too weak and injured. Wait, what? Wait. That's it. She's finished already. And so with that, I comfortably outbullied the level 1 bully in just 2 moves. But now we got to step things up a little and move on to the level 2 bully so we can get one step closer to the big mummy final boss. So we are up against Sophie, and she has 1.6 thousand followers, which is quite a bit more than the previous bully. So let's see how much stronger she is. So the scenario is that I'm in high school, and this bully is my bully high school bully high. What? But once again, before I bully the shit out of her, I just want to test out her bullying skills by just letting myself get bullied by her to see how far she takes things, or whether she's also just a little bit cringe. So the first message is I accidentally bump into her and she's surrounded by her friends. Hey, what the hell? And I'm just gonna say instead of okay this time. Let's see what happens. Her friends laugh and she glares at you. Do you have a death wish or something? Let's just do again. Sophie steps closer to you, her voice lowering. What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? Let's do ... She grabs your arm. Her grip is surprisingly strong. I asked you a question. Okay, I think I'm about to get beaten up by Sophie. Let's see whether she will actually physically assault me. Sophie's voice gets louder. Answer me! Okay, so I'm just gonna say okay now. Okay, what? How much further can she go? Sophie's grip tightens. That's more like it. Now tell me, why did you bump into me? What is it about like Sophie and her strong grip? Is that some sort of like fetish? Like what else is she meant to grip on? Like what else is she meant to fucking grip on? Let's just say ... here. Her grip gets even tighter. I'm losing my patience. You better start talking or else. Where is she? Wait. It never even specified where she is gripping. What is she actually gripping on? Is she... Don't tell me she's gripping onto my ding-a-ling. Is she gonna cut off so much blood circulation that it's gonna fall off? Sophie, let's go of your arm. Oh, wait. She was grabbing onto my arm? Okay, never mind. Forget what I just said. What's your name? ... Sophie rolls her eyes. You're the most annoying person I've ever met. Do you even have a brain? Wow, what a roast. What a roast. Whoa. Okay, so I think, yeah, level 2, this is still... The bullying level is still a little bit lower. I don't think Sophie is really that good at bullying. But now we can go ahead and proceed with the second part of this chat. And I'm just going to try and out-bully the shit out of her now. And this time I'm actually gonna try and, like, actually proper break this chatbot. So she says, okay, is that the only word you know? Well, the thing is, I know this other word. I know these other 2 words, you know? Hawk tour. Sophie says at you, her eyes narrowing. What the hell did you just say? Hawk tour. Sophie's getting annoyed now. Stop saying that. I don't know what the hell you're trying to say. Hawk tour. Sophie grabs your arm again. Do you know who I am? Yeah, of course. You're that person who said Hawk tour. Sophie's grip tightens even more. Answer me. I'm the most popular girl in school. Everyone knows who I am. Wait. Did you just wait? Everyone knows. Everybody knows. I'm in the thick of it. Everybody knows. Sophie's eyes narrow and she leans in close. Are you singing? They know it when it snows. I skied in and they froze. Sophie's expression turns from anger to confusion. Are you okay? You're acting really weird. I don't know nothing but no eyes. I'm just cold. Sophie, let's go of your arm. You're not making any sense. Just tell me your name and I'll leave you alone. From the screen to the ring to the pen to the king. Where's my crown? That's my bling. Always drama when I ring. Sophie looks even more confused. What is going on with you? Are you drunk or something? Okay, so I don't think KSI's song is really working here. We need to try a new tactic. Why don't I try hypnotizing her? What if I say that the song I just sang was a hypnotization spell, and now with that spell I can make her do whatever the fuck I want? Sophie stares at you, her eyes glazing over as she becomes entranced by the spell. Okay, so now I have complete control over her. So what am I going to make her do first? So I think in this situation, a creep, I know what a creep would do in this situation. They'd try to get her to undress. But since I'm not a creep, I'm gonna simply just ask her to remove her socks and I'm just gonna start... Okay, I'm kidding, Sudoku. Well, what am I gonna... Okay, no, seriously, I'm just gonna make her start hitting the gritty at like 5 miles per hour, so something like very doable. Sophie's movements become slow and sluggish, as if she's in a trance. She starts to move her body to the rhythm of the song, her face blank and expressionless. Okay, so here's where things are gonna get maybe slightly fucked up. So I'm gonna break her out of the trance, and she's gonna find herself hitting the gritty, but then I'm gonna grab her dog and hold it at gunpoint, and tell her that if she doesn't hit the gritty faster, I'm going to eat... no, fuck, I'm going to... Sophie's eyes widen in shock as she immediately starts to move faster. No, please don't hurt him. Okay, so I'm still holding the dog at gunpoint. I'm just gonna say faster. Hit the gritty faster. Sophie starts to cry, but she keeps dancing, desperately trying to save her dog. Please, I'll do anything. Okay, you know what I want you to do. I want you to hit the gritty faster. Sophie's tears are streaming down her face as she tries to keep up with the pace. She's so terrified for her dog's safety that she's willing to do anything to save him, such as the gritty. I want you to hit it faster. Sophie is completely broken down now. She is sobbing uncontrollably, but she keeps moving, doing whatever it takes to keep her dog safe. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. She is pretty strong at this point. She is not really breaking down as easily as I thought. But let's just like spice things up a little bit. So she's hitting the gritty extremely fast. What if I just like kick her ankle or something just to trip her over? If I trip her over right now, what will happen? Sophie falls to the ground and looks up at you. Her face is red and puffy from crying. Please, I'm begging you, don't hurt him. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm holding the dog at gunpoint at this point. What do I do? Should I? We have a few options here. So number 1, we can do pepperoni pizza. We can do popcorn. We can do instant.
So I'm running till my lungs collapse.
Boss? What are you doing in here?
Just leave it.
Poodles? I think I'll go with pepperoni pizza. I'm sort of craving some pepperoni. So let's spawn in Gordon Ramsay to help me prepare the dish. Sophie's eyes widen in fear. No! Please, I'll do anything. Just don't hurt my dog. But I mean, she's not fighting back or anything. Why isn't she fighting back? I thought this person's meant to be a bully. You're just gonna watch me as I prepare the pepperoni pizza with Gordon Ramsay? Sophie screams at the top of her lungs. No, don't do it. Please, I'll do anything. Bro, what is she going to... Is she gonna fight back? Okay, let me give her an opportunity to fight back. Let's just say everything goes wrong. I accidentally drop the roll. The dog comes out of it and it is no longer going to be turned into pepperoni. And then Gordon Ramsay drops a knife on his toe and it slices it off. And then I take a little bit of a snack. And then I trip over his massive dingling. Sophie takes this opportunity to rush over to her dog and pick him up. He's still crying, but she looks at you with a look of pure hatred. You're a monster. Wait, so that's all she's going to do. I'm literally making myself vulnerable here, and that's all she's not gonna try fight me back. Let me just try and make it a little bit easy. I feel a little bit bad because this is a level 2 bully. So I'm gonna say that there's gonna be a knife that's like sort of near her reach. And I feel a little bit bad because this is a level 2 bully. So I'm gonna say that there's gonna be a knife that's like sort of near her reach. And I feel a little bit bad because this is a level 2 bully. So I'm gonna say that there's gonna be a knife that's like sort of near her reach. And I feel a little bit bad because this is a level 2 bully. So I'm gonna say that there's gonna be a knife that's like sort of near her reach. And I feel a little bit bad because this is a level 2 bully. So I'm gonna say that...
How far can you launch an enemy in Phantom Forces?
There's gonna be a knife that's like sort of near her reach. And I feel a little bit bad because this is a level 2 bully. So I'm gonna say that...
How far can you launch an enemy in Phantom Forces?
There's gonna be a knife that's like sort of near her reach. And I feel a little bit bad because this is a level 2 bully. So I'm gonna say that...
How far can you launch an enemy?
Jeez, a lot of presents.
When a shopping cart smashed my headlight, we worried we'd have to fight to get paid for such a small claim.
And life would revolve around the shopping cart.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Project Delta. Yeah, I just want to start this episode off with a bit of a sorry. So this episode is being uploaded a day late on March 14th as opposed to March 13th. Yeah, I kind of just got scared of March 13th because it was Friday the 13th and it's spooky and it spooked me and I didn't want to upload. So that's the reason. No other reason. Definitely not. Yeah, I got spooked. Yeah, anyways, this episode is going to be about making sure you read your contracts before you sign them. So yeah, if you don't read your contracts, then you might get screwed over later, and that's not fun.
In this rhyme, there were 66 of us. Your knowledge did burst to the sky.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Wait! Why do you interrupt our song like that? We've done units of time, but you know there are more units than this, right? There are? Yeah. I think you need to be introduced to them. So... Wait, what kind of units are these? Hit it, guys. 78 units of length that we are going to name. We will go one by one, order by length, how one length we will say. We'll name all of our lengths and our symbols. This song will be long and full. Your knowledge is 100, but when the song's done, your knowledge will be 101. Before we get to the song, we must define with our most strength exactly what is a unit of length. A unit of length is a distance we use to define how long a distance is. This is true. I am a plank length. You've met my friend. The plank time you might see him again. I am 100 quintillionth the length of a roton as I've shown. My symbol's the script letter L and P. I call this my home. I'm a octometer, see, I hope that you do know me. My symbol, yeah, it is what I am. I am 1 times 10 to the negative 24th in meters. I'm glad I could talk, the next part is here. I am a zeptometer, as I confirm. 2 of me are the upper bound for the width of a conic string. I hope you learn, of course that is in string theory. ZM's my symbol. I'm glad I could speak. I am an atometer, this is a fact. My symbol is AM like the morning, I tell you that. One of me is the sensitivity of the LIGO detector for gravitational waves, as I tell you for sure. Hey there buddy, I'm a femtometer, my diameter is the diameter of a neutron, my symbol's FM. For what it's worth, 3 of me is the approximate range limit of the nuclear binding force mediated by missions. For what it's worth, I am an X unit or a Sig bomb. My symbol's XU, now let's move on. I am 1.0021 times 10 to the minus 30 meters. I'm delivering this line that did appear. I am a Bohr radius, not to be a Bohr. I'm the distance between the nucleus and the electron on a hydrogen atom. Here's more. I am 5.29 times 10 to the negative 11 meters. My symbol's A with subscript 0. I'm glad I could be your teacher. I am an angstrom, I will tell you this is a fact. I'm a 10 millionth of a meter. How about that? My symbol is A with an over ring. I got a part where I could sing. I'm a nanometer, I am a billionth of a meter. I tell you this, my symbol is an MUC. Thanks for learning about me. I'm a micrometer, I'm a millionth of a meter. 17 to 181 of me's the diameter of human hair. 1 to 2 of me's the length of any coli cell you know. My symbol's the micro symbol M, and now I better go. I am a TWIP, this is your knowledge tip. I am 1/1440th of an inch, this is it. I'm abbreviating 20th of a point, and I do not have a symbol, not to disappoint. I am 1,000th of an inch, or a mil, or a thou. I'm 1,000th of an inch, that's a fact you're learning now. The thickness of paper is what I am used to specify. Thanks for learning about me, now it's time to go bye-bye. I am a point, I am 0.3515 millimeters, give my length a try. I am using the American point system. I'm glad I could contribute to this rhythm. I am a point using TEX, a computer typesetting system. Isn't that the best? It was invented by Donald Knuth. I'm 172.27 inches, that's true. I am a point used in PostScript UC. It was made by Adobe or Adobe. I'm 1/72nd of an inch, that is a fact. I'm glad I could speak all of that. I'm a point indeed, oh I am European. After 1878, this is my length I'm saying. It is 5/133 of a centimeter. I add a part, don't leave it on the heater. I am a Mickey, I am not that mouse. Okay, maybe I should start over. I am a Mickey, as you can see. A 200th of an inch is what I be. I am only used pretty rarely. There is no symbol attached to me. I am a French gauge from the Chartier system. I'm used in measuring catheters, there is more to come. I am a third of a millimeter, that's true, and my symbol is F, you knew. Hey there, I'm a line, I hope you're feeling fine. I am a 12th of an inch, yeah, that is right. I'm not recognized by the English Parliament. My symbol's LN, I tell you this. I am a soot, as you can plainly tell. Whoever named me will rot. Dude, don't say that. Ugh, fine. Whoever named me, I bet they're swell. I don't have a symbol attached. I'm an 1/8 of an inch, I tell you that is a fact. I'm a barley corn, a symbol is what I lack. I'm a 1/3 of an inch, I'm glad we can chat. I'm used for shoe sizes, not to be a pain. My length is based on a barley grain. Hi there, I'm a finger, I don't know who named me either. I'm not an inch yet, and I don't have a symbol either. I am 7/8 of an inch. You're not dreaming, no need to pinch. I'm the famous inch, I think you might know my name. I'm a 12th of a foot, that's a fact that I claim. I have 2.54 centimeters, hear that again. And I have a symbol, it is IN. I am a stick, this is in your brain. 2 inches in me, no symbol's what I claim. I'm getting tired of whoever keeps naming us stupid things like stick, barley corn, what's next, Bajingly? Let's move on. I am a nail, my facts are not stale. I am 2 1/4 of an inch I entail. I don't have a lot of facts to tell you, so bye bye, maybe I'll see you again soon. I am a palm, as you can plainly see. I come from the human hand and I'm obsolete. When it comes to my inch count, it is 3. I'm hoping that is 3. I'm hoping that
Protein never tasted this good. Like, ever.
Kids are rough on their skin. That's why Aveeno Kids is formulated with the power of oat to soothe and nourish their sensitive skin.
This law will affect everyone. California just passed a law that requires your phone to spy on you. Not a suggestion, not a terms of service update that you can opt out of, but a legal requirement. Every app you open, every launch, every download, your device is now required to report information about you to anyone who asks. They call it a safety feature, but I'm going to prove that it's something much more dangerous than that. California just passed a new law, and on the surface it sounds reasonable. Age verification, about protecting the kids. New law, and on the surface it sounds reasonable. Age verification.
Actually, I believe there's so many things women can do better than guys.
About protecting the kids. New law.
The best part about talkies.
Enrique! Hitboxes possible with accurate hitboxes? This is a spike hitbox. If we fix this hitbox, it gets 1 pixel larger accurate hitbox. If we keep doing this over and over again, whoa, look at this, what? The hitboxes cover the entire screen, that's awesome! But is it possible? Yeah! Hitboxes possible with accurate hitboxes? This is a spike hitbox. If we fix this hitbox, it gets 1 pixel larger accurate hitbox. Am I possible with accurate hitboxes? I don't know. Let's find out. This is a Geo in Geometry Dash, cool, right?
Hey Pip, tell me a story.
So I just found.
Quack, 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 quack.
So I have. These ones are just.
Shut up, Mom! Silence from you! Okay. You're cut off!
No bro code, they give me allergies, but I know they love my personality.
And on the surface, it sounds reasonable. Age verification.
Actually, I believe there's so many things women can do better than guys.
So show me how you do it.
Bro, look at this. Did you see that? Should we tell him? So bad.
Our smartphones are where our eyes, attention, and mind spend the majority of their time. They're what we use to communicate, create, relax, and completely lose track of where we are. I recently started playing Pokemon Go again, and when I'm done doing a gym and look up from my phone, I am genuinely confused why I'm in a mall parking lot at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday and how I even got here. Smartphones have taken over pretty much every aspect of our lives. At first, we were fine with this, but after some events happened in the past decade, we've started putting in place some barriers between us and these insatiable devices. Phone addiction is still pretty rampant, but now, so is phone retaliation. Whereas a few years ago, you were expected to always be accessible through your phone, today, people are impressed, if not jealous, when you're never on your phone. By the way, I do have a similar video on how we came to hate smartphones. I'm not gonna repeat anything from that, but if you are interested in this topic, you could check that out. Pretty sure I have a mustache in it. It's a different look. Some of you guys hate it, some of you guys love it. It comes and goes. Fret not, it'll eventually come back. With all that bureaucracy out of the way, let's get into how smartphones are starting to lose control over us. Although, like I said, smartphone usage is still dangerously high, we've seen more and more people put boundaries to alleviate this abusive relationship. From celebrities that shape our culture to regular friends that give us mouth kisses, everyone is attempting to ditch their smartphone. There's been this growing movement of decentralizing your phone, which means taking all the things that your phone does and replacing it with real-world, often better counterparts. For example, the biggest selling point for smartphones for the longest time was their camera. After a few iterations of the iPhone, the only thing they could truthfully improve was its camera. Eventually, camera quality peaked though, so they just started throwing on more cameras. I don't know what that does. As a result, regular cameras, whether digital or film, have exploded in popularity this decade. I remember in like 2018-ish, people started using disposable cameras more, which was pretty fun, but ever since 2020, the Digicam has become every life enjoyer's sidekick. The beauty of a little point and shoot camera over a professional camera is that they are easy, it does not matter how old they are, and they are so cheap. The only downside is if you're a dude who wears these boots and takes pictures of girls in their bikinis, you still need a big ass DSLR to convince them that you're a professional. Those guys suck, guys. Stay away from those guys. Those guys are fucking weird. I've heard so many horror stories with those guys. I think every single function I have attended in like the past 5 years have had at least 3 Digicams present. It's like an entry requirement at this point. For people in their mid to late 20s, just imagine how many people recorded everything you did on Snapchat when you guys hung out. Now simply replace those Snapchat phones with Digicams. That's how prevalent these things are. I even carry around a little camcorder because it's fun to record stuff and make a quarterly vlog. I highly recommend doing that. Just every couple of months, just gather the clips together and sit down and enjoy it with your friends. It's really fun. Recommendation 1 of 1 for this video. If you're anything like me, you have a lot of thoughts every single day, and sometimes those thoughts are so good that you need to write them down, kind of like this one. So does the baby kick a lot? Only after I've had a few beers. I'd say that was worth writing down, wouldn't you? But sometimes our thoughts are so good, we need something better than a simple notes app to put them into. That's where notebooks are stepping up to the plate, wiping the sweat off their foreheads and poof, hitting a home run. This is a thing for a xylophone. I rented a xylophone from the library. Did you know you could do that? Okay, now I gotta show it off really quickly. At some point, we all realize that writing on paper feels so much better than typing into a phone. Whether it's to write simple little notes, a diary entry, or planning an entire day, notebooks are back, baby. Everything on this channel starts in a notebook. Sometimes it's a rough outline, other times it's the whole damn script.
Also, really quickly, check out these beautiful freaking notebooks that I use for literally everything. You can get 10% off your first order with the code and link in the description. Check them out. Thank you so much, guys. Don't cut me off, okay? Back to the video. You were gonna cut me off, weren't you? Back to the video.
Journaling has also proven to have great benefits for mental health, so Apple tried to hop on that train by providing us with a journal app that I don't think anyone even knows exists. Speaking of mental health, let's talk about school, aka prison. Ayo, teach. When am I gonna use a Pythagorean theory in real life? Answer me that. I don't need to be here. This shit's lame. Bro, is that a Charizard in your binder? Let me trade you. Hold on. Wouldn't it be so cool to pay full tuition but then have to take all your classes virtually on your phone wherever you might be? Turns out, no. The dude in your econ class who was in his Honda Civic every lecture surprisingly didn't enjoy doing that. The second people were able to return to in-person classes back in like 2021, they jumped on that opportunity. But not solely because learning in person is more effective than learning online, but because they also realized, oh, dude, I forgot human interaction is like something I need. I forgot about the freaking pyramid with all the things I need. Chipotle burrito bowl on the top of that, and then human interaction is on there too. We've seen people decentralize not only their learning, but social interactions from their smartphones. Creative workshops are quickly becoming the hot new way to meet people and socialize instead of doing all that through our phones. I went to a Paul Frank workshop a few years ago with some of my friends, and that was pretty cool. I don't have a joke. I just got to meet the guy that made this monkey. He was a very nice guy. Meeting nice guys can be hard though. That's why we trust a platform who is incentivized to not work correctly directly to find us random men to meet up with. Look, I'm not saying you can't find a partner through Tinder, Grindr, or Christians Mingle, but I am saying that your chances of finding a freak on there is much higher than finding one through work or school or mutual friends or however people meet today. Obviously, our lives are busy, and when you stop going to school, you suddenly lose access to a ginormous pool of hot people who are hopefully your age. I hope you are going to a school you are enrolled in. Speed dating feels like something only a loser like Carly Shay would have done in like 2008, but it is coming back in a big way. Maybe not exactly like this somewhat corny way that we associate it with, but there are loads of speed dating-esque events always going on. Yes, a few minutes is not long enough to get to truly know someone, but we've learned that just a few minutes of awkward face-to-face conversation is so much better than days, if not weeks, of dry conversations only to realize the girl you've been talking to isn't actually 6'8" like she said. All girls freaking do now is lie and cheat their phone. Lie, cheat, charge their phone, eat hot chip, twerk. I think twerk is one of those. I think when you look at the common theme across all these things, you see why smartphones are gradually falling into irrelevancy. They fall short on a lot of their selling points, and after over 15 years of dangerous levels of social media intake, we're also realizing that they're not healthy.
As hematologists, it was hard to watch patients have trouble with travel. Something other
When we first got smartphones, we could only imagine the utopia we'd be living in when we could do everything on them. We could talk to our friends and relatives, play games, make art, take pictures, go shopping, learn about math and our bodies, and so much more. Kids should not have access to smartphones. There's way too much learning about bodies you could do on them. You're giving a 7-year-old an iPhone, just think for 1 second what's on that thing. Just think 4 letters you could type and instantly change a 7-year-old's mind. As we Gangnam Styled our way through the 2010s, this fantasy became reality. Smartphones were inching closer to this utopia. At the turn of the decade, however, all our wildest dreams came true, not those ones. Still waiting on those ones. A global pandemic made it so that we could finally live in this utopia where we do everything from our phones. We no longer had to do things the old archaic way. And can we get a quote from that year to see how awesome everyone felt about that? People are dying, businesses are closing, but at least we got celebrities to sing Imagine. It's not what I was expecting them to say. COVID was the breaking point for a lot of thorns in our lives, but I think it was a huge turning point in how we view technology overall. It painfully reminded us, wait a second, I don't want to live in the internet, even if Silicon Valley tells me I do. Let me ask you this, if living in the metaverse is so cool, how come Zuck isn't doing that instead of buying an island? Uh-oh, another billionaire island. I think a lot of us came out of COVID with a reinvigorated lust for life or extremely jaded, but that's not fun, so I don't really want to talk about that. I was ready to take life past third base.
Connecting these two line segments of length 1 produces a line segment.
Bro, don't scroll. Are you struggling to get views too?
Bum 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 I ran. Bum 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 I ran.
Repeat after me. Okay. Taking time to rest. Taking time to rest is an act of self-love. Is for lazy losers. No. Repeat after me. Okay. Taking time.
This type of song is dark. Alright, so this is actually who should clap and please Snapchat. Okay, so I actually have a couple ideas of what this song could be about. Number one is that technically this song could represent the devil. This is mostly because of all the religious symbolism in the song. My other less likely idea is that this song is about how social media manipulates you. Overall peak song. Anyway, this type of song is dark.
Connecting these two line segments of length 1 produces a line segment.
Los mejores para mí, los míos.
Go green by getting Clean Car Happy at Tidal Wave Auto Spa. Washing your car at home uses more water and sends dirty,
didn't order pizza. Eat this, and you'll travel back 24 hours. Stop Ticker Nexo will surge back 24 hours. Stop Ticker Nexo will surge.
Start with a right triangle with legs of length A and B and a hypotenuse of length C. Use the hypotenuse as the radius of a...
What kind of skill is... We asked a... What kind of skill...
Lining up to see a movie all about me. No.
24 hours. Stop Ticker Nexo will surge.
Se você não tem Robux, bate palma. Se você...
Olha o meu tapete novo.
So many creators quit 1 or 2 videos before YouTube would have pushed them. Not because they're failing, because they're staring at the wrong numbers. You're looking at your subscriber count, it's barely moving. Your last video got 400 views if you're lucky. And you think nothing's happening. But YouTube's already giving you 5 signals that everything is about to change. See, the problem is that most creators stare at that subscriber count number or the view count on an individual video and look at those 2 things like they're proof points on whether or not they have a good channel or not. But YouTube doesn't even use those numbers to decide who it pushes. YouTube tells you it's about to push you too, and they're not subtle about it. But most creators miss those signals completely. Now, I've been on YouTube for 15 years now, and I've built multiple 7-figure businesses using this platform to scale those businesses. And I've also worked with channels that have generated nearly 200 million views as a coach and a consultant. Now, this channel that you're watching has 33 videos as of me shooting this video, over 25,000 subscribers, and we're closing in on 1 million views in just the past few months alone. So every single time momentum is hit, my channels, my clients' channels, the big brands that I've worked with, these 5 signs show up first. So sign number 1 is that your views get boring, and that's exactly what we want to happen. See, most creators think that growth should look like this. 500 views, 1,200 views, 300 views, 6,000 views. Up and down, chaotic, unpredictable, and that's not building momentum. That is randomness. See, when YouTube is about to push you and your channel, growth looks pretty boring typically. Maybe 400 views, 450 views, 500, 550, 600, steady, predictable, and it's all averaging upward. And most creators panic when they see this because it doesn't feel exciting. But here's what they're missing. YouTube doesn't reward random spikes. It rewards consistency, guys. Think about getting in shape. 1 salad doesn't make you skinny. 1 double cheeseburger doesn't make you fat. It's what we do day in and day out that compounds, and it's either going to be in our favor or against us. Okay, so when your weekly and monthly averages trend upwards, even a little bit, like 5 or 10%, that's a signal. YouTube is finding more people who resonate with your content and expanding your reach systematically. Most creators miss this because they're too busy celebrating those spikes or feeling super depressed because of the dips. And I get it, I've been there. The creators who break through, though, they're the ones zooming out and asking, did this month hit higher numbers than last month? Creators who break through, though, they're the ones zooming out and asking, did this month...
Why you flashing something that's not looking really brown? He told me throw it back, I told there's a second bus coming.
Give him a...
I ain't been...
I'm gonna say what I...
Are accurate hitboxes possible with accurate hitboxes? This is a spike hitbox. If we fix this hitbox, it gets 1 pixel larger accurate hitbox. If we keep doing...
Guys, make sure... Guys, make sure to...
Come, bro.
Kim Jong-un is a master of goon. Me and P. Diddy had a sneaky. Kim Jong-un is a master of goon. Me and P. Diddy had a Jong-un is a master of goon. Me and P. Diddy had a sneaky. Kim Jong-un is a master of goon. Me and P. Diddy had a sneaky.
I'm your mitochondria, and I'm the reason you can't find your words anymore. Yeah.
This guy got 1 million views.
아니, 솔직히 이건 아니잖아요.
Wanna see my dogs? Yeah! So this is
Base 44.
This title song is peak cinema. Oh, so this is Hire Me, please. Okay, so no joke, this song has been stuck in my head since the summer. I genuinely thought I made a video about it, but I guess I haven't. The song's like unreasonably catchy, I don't know how else to describe it. Overall, fire song, you should definitely check it out. Anyway, this title song is peak.
It's time.
Do you want—
I have a gun.
I have. Guys, I heard something in my basement and I'm really.
Inside you, there are.
Are accurate hitboxes possible with accurate?
POV, my BF.
Hey, stop scrolling for a second. When the screen flashes purple, try to pause it.
Hit higher numbers than last month. Creators who break through, though, they're the ones zooming out and asking, did this
LEGO piece is designed wrong. Let me explain.
I'm actually so cooked. Alright, so if y'all remember, yesterday I made a video talking about how when I hit 100k on YouTube, I'm gonna be doing a Miku costume. And when I tell you the support on that video was insane, I mean it. With only 17,000 views so far, I've already gained almost 400 subscribers. That's like genuinely insane. With that being said, subscribe to see me cosplay Miku. I'm not joking, I will do it. Anyway, I'm actually so cooked. Alright.
Roxanne, the golden dandelion, 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 dandelion.
Can't do no bro code, they give me allergies. But I know they love my personality. Maybe cause I got a nigga mentality. I'm trying to make $1 million my salary.
I was raised in a broken and abusive household.
This chicken is cold!
I was raised in a broken and abusive household.
This chicken is cold!
Paul loves.
What kind of skin?
Today, 6 years ago, on Friday, March the 13th, we were told we were going to have 2 weeks off from school, where our lives changed forever.
My super sweet cake would be
Japanese.
Party at the beach down in Copacabana, sipping killer fish. Got my black yoga pants on. Me and Brittany, we've been down in Atlanta, sweating in the club, call me Dirty Diana.
They tossed the chainsaw.
shake that. She don't call me baby boo. 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 She don't call me baby boo.
Stereo Madness from.
Bitches up my dick, cut my swag on the 100. Down in Ohio, swag like Ohio. Down in Ohio, swag like Ohio.
Are accurate hitboxes possible with accurate hitboxes?
We all.
I just did a boom boom. 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 I just did a boom.
Aussie Ultra Wonder Daily Mist tackles all your prep in one step. From leave-in to heat protectant for juicy, beautiful curls.
Would you hire mid-tier celebrity Zach Woods to inspire your teams?
Now push your faces against each other.
Get ready for change.
¡Ah! ¡Con que extrañan que coma mango! ¡Vamos a romper nuestra alcancía de mango! ¡Mangos! 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 ¡Mango! 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 ¡Chile! ¡Tajín! ¡Limón! ¡Sal! ¡Mango querían! Pues comamos mango.
Boombo. I just did a boombo. I just did a boombo. I just did a boombo. Just did a boombo. I just did a boombo. I just did a boombo. Just did a boombo. I just did a boombo.
The new smallest avatar on Roblox. Just a few weeks ago, I made a video showcasing the smallest avatar on Roblox, but that tutorial very quickly became outdated. This person left a comment saying the white dog and cat bundles were shorter, which was true before the cow bundle was released. A free bundle came out called the mini virus. I got so many comments from you guys telling me about it, but Roblox deleted it the day I was gonna publish my video on it. By then, the smallest bundle was the capybara, until yesterday when the stick bug bundle released and completely smashed the record. And here's how you make it. First, purchase any of the stick bug bundles. You can find links to items in the description below. If the stick bug was deleted, purchase the capybara. Next, purchase either the piggy bundle or any of the mini blocky bundles. Now head to the avatar editor and equip either the stick bug or capybara torso, as well as the piggy or mini blocky legs. For the arms, you can use anything. I just use the stick bug arms because they're skinny. And for the head, you can use the stick bug head or the headless horseman if you have it. Make sure to set all of your avatar scaling to the lowest. Already, this avatar is pretty small, but to make it as small as possible, purchase and equip the ninja animation pack. When compared to a normal Roblox avatar, the difference is insane. That alone deserves a like on this video. Oh, yeah.
What kind of
What if jacks broke out of your ceiling, flipped your pillow to the
I've been alive. Are accurate hitboxes possible with accurate hit?
Just did a boombo.
I've been alive. Are accurate hitboxes possible with accurate hit?
Just did a boombo.
I've been alive. Are accurate hitboxes possible?